Chapter 2961. Since we've already offended, let's offend to the end. The fate of Ice Fire Grass was severed, but its consciousness remained intact. It broke free from the Buddhist Lich's conversion control and attempted to escape from the bone hell. It unleashed a terrifying cold, almost freezing even the hellish magma. Lin Moyu couldn't let it succeed. The Eye of Hell unleashed a powerful soul impact. Ice Fire Grass's massive body trembled violently, clearly in discomfort. Its fate had been greatly weakened, and with the influence of the other shore flower, its strength had fallen from the 5th realm of Tao Sovereign to at most the 4th realm. Before the Buddhist Lich appeared a hazy river, the great Tao of Fate activated, evolving into the River of Fate. The Buddhist Lich found the weakest point of Ice Fire Grass in the River of Fate and punched it. The punch landed on the future Ice Fire Grass, but all the damage erupted on the present one. Ice Fire Grass screamed, its body trembling more violently, and the punch was enough to severely injure it. Its body, which had just emerged from the hellish magma, fell again. The previously rampant cold quickly disappeared. The hellish magma resumed, and the hellish spirits took the opportunity to resume gnawing. "What did you do?" It roared, erupting like a volcano, spewing countless flames and repelling all the hellish spirits. The intense flames collided with the hellish magma, raising a boundless wave. In the eternal Buddha kingdom of the Buddhist Lich, many followers sacrificed themselves, enhancing the power of the Korean demon. Behind him, 5 halos shone brightly, and the Buddhist Lich swung a second punch in the River of Fate. Boom! Ice Fire Grass's body silently exploded, and the erupting flames stalled. Under the second punch, it was even more severely injured, its aura clearly declining. Lin Moyu saw dozens of large wounds appear on its body, some of which were terrifyingly hideous, penetrating front to back. The massive body was riddled with holes, yet these wounds were rapidly healing. Plant-based beings truly have strong vitality. Lin Moyu thought to himself. It wasn't his first time dealing with plant-based beings. In terms of vitality, plant-based beings were indeed strong and hard to kill. This was universally acknowledged by all cultivators, and members of the 100 Herb Alliance were notoriously difficult to kill. But difficult or not, they had to be killed. Ice Fire Grass tried twice to escape the bone hell, both times ending in failure. The third time, it erupted with both ice and fire, and the collision of these forces almost shattered the bone hell. At this moment, the Buddhist Lich's third punch fell. The River of Fate surged, extinguishing the aura of Ice Fire Grass once again. It failed for the third time as well. After 3 punches, the Buddhist Lich's great Tao of Fate disappeared, and the spell ended. Lin Moyu snapped his fingers, and in an instant, flames filled the sky, and skeletal thrones spread across the land. 3,000 skeleton kings appeared simultaneously, towering 1,000 meters high, even larger than Ice Fire Grass, clad in armor with flaming capes billowing behind them. With Lin Moyu's promotion to the 2nd realm of Tao Sovereign, the skeleton kings had stepped into the 4th realm of Tao Sovereign, albeit just barely. The 3,000 skeleton kings resonated with each other, amplifying their power to a level considered strong even among the 4th realm of Tao Sovereign. The skeleton kings raised their bone swords and slashed down. Great Tao Spell, Blood Kill. This spell, besides the combat power of the skeleton kings themselves, had a special effect. It burned the target's blood to attack the target. The stronger the target's vitality, the greater the power of Blood Kill. Vitality doesn't necessarily refer to flesh and blood, its true core is life force. Undoubtedly, Ice Fire Grass's vitality was strong, making the power of Blood Kill quite considerable. Sword light flashed, and Ice Fire Grass screamed. Its already riddled body now bore numerous wounds, with sword light appearing all over its body, each sword light detonating its vitality, causing terrible damage. Ice Fire Grass's aura plummeted, falling directly from the 4th realm of Tao Sovereign. A river of magma suddenly erupted, crashing into Ice Fire Grass with great force, sending it flying. Ice Fire Grass was sent flying in the direction of the Nether Black Pool. The Nether Black Pool spun rapidly, and the massive head of the Nether Black Dragon emerged. Before Ice Fire Grass could react, the Nether Black Dragon opened its mouth wide and bit down on Ice Fire Grass. With the sound of chewing, Ice Fire Grass's body was bitten into 3 parts. At this point, Ice Fire Grass had no more strength to resist. The skeleton kings surrounded it, their bone swords slashing down like chopping meat, intending to dismember Ice Fire Grass. Ice Fire Grass was powerless to resist, its fate sealed in death. Lin Moyu remained vigilant, knowing that Ice Fire Grass was a clone of the 100 Herb Alliance's leader, possibly possessing other means. Such an existence was beyond his imagination. A voice filled with resentment echoed, "I have remembered you. No matter who you are, you will die." The voice, like a curse, reverberated in the space. Following it, a rumbling sound erupted. Ice and fire clashed again, causing a violent explosion, sending the skeleton kings flying. The nearly shattered ice-fire grass erupted with ice and fire, its final strength. The clash of ice and fire grew more intense, shaking the entire bone hell. Lin Moyu felt a movement in his heart, retracting the bone hell, while the skeleton kings surrounded ice-fire grass, retreating to prevent its self-destruction. Amid the roar of ice and fire, an ice-fire storm shot into the sky, and a phantom of ice-fire grass appeared in the air. In the phantom, an eye appeared, looking at Lin Moyu with resentment. Lin Moyu felt a chill in his heart, knowing he had been targeted by the 100 Herb Alliance's leader. But at this point, he had no choice. The resentful gaze lasted for 2 seconds before the phantom of ice-fire grass exploded, shaking the entire space. With the explosion, ice-fire grass turned to dust. Lin Moyu's gaze was icy. "Since we're already mortal enemies, let's do it thoroughly." He locked onto a direction and quickly pursued it. In the final explosion, a faint light flew towards the distance. This action was very subtle, and if not for Lin Moyu's keen sense and constant vigilance against ice-fire grass, he wouldn't have noticed it. He thought of the leader's secret technique, the reincarnation of spiritual plants. Ice-fire grass seemed to have turned to dust, but it might not be dead. Its main body was a special material from beyond the origin continent. As long as this material remained, the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance could refine another clone. For such an existence, refining a clone was not difficult. Lin Moyu felt that since he had already offended them to death, he might as well continue to offend them to the end. He wanted that material. As for future matters, he would deal with them when the time came. He wasn't without cards up his sleeve. If the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance really came to kill him, he would make them pay a price. With the corpse of a 9th realm Dao sovereign, combined with the origin spell, ancestral water, and the power of faith, along with the corpse explosion, he wasn't so easy to kill. Chapter 2962, 2962. Chapter 2962, The Powerful Broodmother. Lin Moyu didn't care whether the leader used spiritual plant reincarnation. In the end he was determined to get hold of the thing that escaped. Even if it was trash, he wanted it in his hands. Using his spiritual sense, Lin Moyu tracked it all the way, crossing icy volcanoes and vast ancient forests. After running 100,000 kilometers, he finally found the last place where it landed. It was at the top of an ice mountain, where the escaping thing had fallen. From a few hundred miles away, Lin Moyu could clearly sense its aura. From a distance, he saw something protruding from the originally flawless ice mountain top. This thing emitted a faint light, standing out against the pure, impurity-free ice mountain. Lin Moyu quickly rushed over, climbed the ice mountain, and saw what it was. It was a seed the size of a baby's fist, the same seed that the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance had obtained from beyond the heavens. The seed was symmetrical, resembling a peanut, with one side red, belonging to fire, and the other light blue, belonging to ice. This was a peculiar ice-fire seed. Lin Moyu could feel that the power contained within the ice-fire seed, whether ice or fire, was extremely pure and powerful. The leader used this peculiar ice-fire seed to refine it into the ice-fire grass, evolving it into his avatar. Lin Moyu did not immediately take the ice-fire seed but activated the Eye of the Undead. A faint soul flame appeared in his vision. The soul flame seemed weak, but its essence was extremely strong. It was like a small piece of iron, very small but hard enough. The soul flame came from the leader, as the ice-fire seed was once its avatar, leaving a bit of soul was normal. With this bit of soul, it could do many things. For example, it could turn the ice-fire seed back into its avatar, or when Lin Moyu picked up the ice-fire seed, it could launch a soul attack or even possess him. After all, it was an existence beyond the 9th realm of Dao Sovereign, and various secret techniques were normal. Suddenly, Lin Moyu looked up at the sky, moved his feet, and quickly retreated. The originally calm space suddenly twisted and surged, torn open by a huge crack. Then a giant centipede-like insect burst out of the crack, heading straight for the ice-fire seed. The sudden appearance of the broodmother was unexpected for Lin Moyu. Moreover, the broodmother was not coming for him. Its target was the ice-fire seed. The broodmother, which had originally escaped, suddenly returned because of the ice-fire seed. This made Lin Moyu wonder if the broodmother was also related to the 100 Herb Alliance. Naturally, he wouldn't let the broodmother get the ice fire seed. With a point of his finger, the bone hell instantly appeared. Countless hellish spirits pounced on the broodmother, while the bone hell swallowed the ice fire seed into the river of magma. The broodmother was a step too late, failing to obtain the ice fire seed, and let out a scream. Thousands of eyes suddenly appeared on its back, and thousands of gazes simultaneously fell on Lin Moyu. In the void of its gaze, there was enormous power, making Lin Moyu's soul roar, his vision blur, and he involuntarily retreated. In the soul world, the world tree shook violently, originally spread throughout the entire soul world. Under this impact, the soul world was hit with a huge gap, and many branches of the world tree broke. Soul attacks are ethereal yet real. Fortunately, after this attack broke through the soul world's defense, its power was not strong enough to cause real harm to the soul, only making it tremble. Lin Moyu's consciousness was only confused for a moment before he regained his senses, with a hint of killing intent in his eyes. He didn't expect that the broodmother, which had previously fled upon seeing him, still had such a powerful soul attack ability. This attack was enough to kill most Dao sovereigns of the third realm, and even those of the fourth realm would be severely injured. Once the soul is severely injured, at best, one would fall into a coma, at worst, death and the end of the Dao. The space around him twisted, and Jiao Dong and the giant sword Dao sovereign appeared beside him. As soon as they appeared, they immediately activated their true forms of the great Dao. The giant sword Dao sovereign transformed into a giant sword, cutting through the sky. Jiao Dongsheng transformed into a peculiar spirit beast. This spirit beast was round and looked cute and harmless, with seemingly no combat power. Lin Moyu had never seen such a spirit beast, but since Jiao Dongsheng did so, there must be a reason. The spirit beast Jiao Dongsheng transformed into suddenly opened its mouth and let out a cry. The cry, like its appearance, had no power. But within the cry, the space suddenly became stable, and not just ordinarily stable. Lin Moyu felt as if the entire space was sealed with steel, making it difficult to break again. The broodmother now couldn't tear the space as easily as before. Jiao Dongsheng's move directly cut off the broodmother's retreat. The sword light of the giant sword Dao sovereign had already reached, and the thousands of eyes on the broodmother's body simultaneously looked at the giant sword Dao sovereign. Thousands of beams of light shot from the eyes, and the giant sword transformed by the giant sword Dao sovereign was blasted away. Lin Moyu frowned slightly, as the broodmother's combat power this strong. Being able to repel the true form of the giant sword Dao sovereign indicated that the broodmother's combat power had at least reached the 6th realm of Dao sovereign. But the broodmother didn't give him the feeling of being that strong. The truly terrifying aspect of the broodmother should be its strangeness, its ability to manipulate the power of the void, and produce offspring. Not its combat power, otherwise, it wouldn't have turned and fled upon first seeing him. But now, the situation was different. The broodmother's combat power was extremely strong, directly reaching the 6th realm of Dao sovereign. The giant sword Dao sovereign attacked again, but the thousands of eyes on the broodmother's body continuously shot out beams of light, making it difficult for the giant sword Dao sovereign to get close. After stabilizing the space, Jiao Dongsheng reactivated his true form of the great Dao, transforming into a mantis-like spirit beast, and charged with a pair of sharp blades. In the great Dao of all spirits, Jiao Dongsheng had various transformations. Although his combat power wasn't as strong as the giant sword Dao sovereign, he excelled in adaptability. The broodmother shot beams of light at Jiao Dongsheng, all of which were intercepted by Jiao Dongsheng's feet. Jiao Dongsheng broke through the blockade and reached the broodmother, whose 1,000 legs simultaneously lengthened, gleaming with sharp light. The 1,000 giant legs were like 1,000 sharp treasures, forcing Jiao Dongsheng to retreat. Jiao Dongsheng and the giant sword Dao sovereign joined forces to attack the broodmother but gained no advantage, instead being suppressed by the broodmother. Lin Moyu found it increasingly strange. It shouldn't be like this. This was different from his first impression of the broodmother. Lin Moyu trusted his instincts. There must be something wrong. What exactly is going on? As he pondered, the space beside him twisted, and the thunderlight purple striped tiger rushed out, joining the battle. This thunderlight purple striped tiger was brought to him by Thunderlight years ago, rarely used outside. Regardless, it had the combat power of the 6th realm of Dao sovereign, very powerful. Thunder roared, and beams of lightning fell from the sky. The broodmother's thousands of eyes shot infinite beams of light, blocking the lightning. Even with 3 6th realm Dao sovereigns attacking, they still couldn't gain the upper hand. Suddenly, the bone hell trembled, and the river of magma erupted like a volcano, spewing huge waves. The ice fire seed flew out, bursting with powerful energy, breaking free from the bone hell, and flying towards the broodmother. Chapter 2963, 2963. Chapter 2963. Since we've already offended, let's offend to the end. The ice fire seed flew towards the broodmother at an astonishing speed. Lin Moyu had a thought, and Zhao Dongsheng and the others turned to intercept. But the broodmother suddenly let out a scream, a powerful soul impact sweeping over them like a tidal wave, causing the three to pause momentarily. In that brief moment, the ice fire seed had already bypassed them and entered the broodmother's mouth. Lin Moyu previously didn't understand why the broodmother suddenly came to snatch the ice fire seed, but seeing the seed fly towards it, he suddenly understood. This broodmother wasn't as the three ancestors described. It wasn't the special divine pet of the extraterrestrial god. This broodmother should be related to the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance. Therefore, the great Tao didn't convey a sense of disgust. Why could the ice fire grass find its way here so quickly? This broodmother was the nail left here by the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance, possessing spatial abilities, possibly creating the spatial channel. The broodmother's abilities were numerous, opening Lin Moyu's eyes. What exactly is he planning? Is it just for the ice fire stone? His chess piece hidden in the ice and fire's secret treasury for so many years must have a purpose, and it must be significant. Originally, the ice fire grass entering the treasury should have been a crucial move, but it was disrupted by Lin Moyu. Thus, the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance must see him as a mortal enemy. But Lin Moyu had no regrets. He would still do the same if given another chance. The broodmother was now evenly matched with the three, neither side able to gain the upper hand. However, Lin Moyu knew that Zhao Dongsheng's space sealing time was limited, and once it ended, the broodmother would surely escape. He unleashed the undying flame, and 3,000 skeleton kings appeared, surrounding the broodmother. Although the skeleton king's combat power was only at the 4th realm of Dao Sovereign, the broodmother's vitality was strong, and the skeleton king's great Dao spells could inflict some damage. Moreover, their bone swords were sharp enough to at least restrain the broodmother, even if each strike caused minimal damage. Buddhist chants echoed, and the Buddhist kingdom appeared beside him. At this time, the Buddhist lich couldn't use the great Tao of fate, only using the conversion spell to influence the broodmother. Lin Moyu's body became hazy, activating the true form of the great Tao of fortune. A black and a white sword of fortune appeared simultaneously, landing on the broodmother. The broodmother let out a resentful scream, its fortune weakened, affecting its combat power. With a few strikes, Lin Moyu realized that the broodmother's fortune wasn't connected to the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance, proving it was an independent entity, not a clone of the leader. This feeling was entirely different from the previous ice fire grass. However, while weakening the broodmother's fortune, Lin Moyu's frown deepened. He discovered that although the broodmother's fortune wasn't linked to the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance, it was connected to countless others. After some thought, Lin Moyu suddenly realized the source of the broodmother's strength. The broodmother became so powerful because it started harvesting the offspring it released. Over countless years, the broodmother had released an unknown number of offspring, parasitizing many Dao sovereigns. The offspring and the broodmother had a special connection, usually absorbing power slowly and transferring it to the broodmother in a unique way. But when the broodmother needed immense power, the offspring's absorption method would change, becoming rapid and fierce. Lin Moyu suddenly understood that the broodmother must have ordered the offspring to quickly absorb power. Using this power, it could fight Zhao Dongsheng and the others to a standstill. Because the offspring absorbed power to supply the broodmother, their fortunes became connected. Lin Moyu knew that chaos must have already erupted outside. Once the offspring truly began absorbing power, those parasitized Dao sovereigns would have a hard time. Moreover, Lin Moyu was also troubled because the broodmother absorbed not only power but also the fortunes of these Dao sovereigns. This meant he had to deal with the fortunes of so many Dao sovereigns simultaneously. Even if it was like inflicting 1,000 damage on the enemy while suffering 200 himself, the cost was too high. Fortunately, there's the poison sword, at least to slowly wear down its fortune. I'll think of a way to kill it. I hope the Dao sovereigns of the Lufeng Merchant Guild can hold on. In the Eastern Continent's marketplace, at the headquarters of the Lufeng Merchant Guild, the parasitized Dao sovereigns began to lose power rapidly. Their auras were gradually declining, much faster than before. Each Dao sovereign's soul was harmed. Lu Lian immediately activated a formation to help heal them, but the effect was unsatisfactory, only delaying the inevitable. She reported the matter to the three ancestors, who also had no solution, only waiting. In the northern continent, many demon clan Dao sovereigns simultaneously groaned, losing consciousness. Their power was draining, and their souls were also injured. This change caught the attention of the demon clan's high-level members, and within minutes, the matter reached the ears of the true ruler of the demon clan. Lin Moyu could feel the broodmother's fortune gradually declining. However, the decline was slow. For every 3 parts lost, 2 parts were replenished. These fortunes came from the Dao sovereigns it parasitized. Lin Moyu continued using the Sword of Fortune to weaken the broodmother's fortune. Although the effect was average and it also harmed his fortune, it was the best method available. Otherwise, Lin Moyu would have to use his trump card to deal with the broodmother. Corpse explosion was not an option, it was his last resort. He didn't want to use the origin spell combined with the Great Dao Undying Pill. Knowing that the leader of the 100 Herb Alliance was behind the broodmother, Lin Moyu didn't want to expose his trump card. As long as the trump card remained, he had a chance to save his life. Once exposed, if the opponent was prepared, he would have no chance. Therefore, Lin Moyu preferred the clumsy method of inflicting 1,000 damage on the enemy while suffering 200 himself, rather than using his trump card. Under the Sword of Fortune, the broodmother's combat power weakened, breaking the balance, and Zhao Dongsheng and the others, along with the Skeleton Kings, gradually gained the upper hand. The broodmother was clearly anxious, constantly screaming and absorbing external power. Due to the limitations of the Ice and Fire secret treasury, the strongest Dao sovereigns entering here were only at the 6th realm. There was a significant difference between the 6th and 7th realms, and no matter how many 6th realm Dao sovereigns the broodmother parasitized, it couldn't gain the power of a 7th realm Dao sovereign. Therefore, the broodmother's maximum power was at the 6th realm of Dao sovereign. Under Lin Moyu's continuous weakening, the broodmother's power had already dropped to the edge of the 6th realm. But this was the limit because the broodmother had too many hosts. Lin Moyu knew he couldn't weaken it further. If he continued using the Sword of Fortune, although he could further weaken the broodmother's combat power, the cost-effectiveness was already too low, making it not worthwhile. Lin Moyu didn't do unprofitable business, and with a thought, the fortune explosion technique erupted. Boom! An explosion sounded from within the broodmother, and it screamed, with numerous wounds appearing on its massive body. Under the fortune explosion technique, the broodmother suffered some damage. At this moment, a flame ignited on the broodmother, healing the wounds in the fire. Then the broodmother donned a layer of ice armor. Lin Moyu frowned, knowing the ice-fire seed was causing trouble. The 100 Herb Alliance controlled the ice-fire seed, aiding the broodmother in battle. Chapter 2964, 2964. Chapter 2964. Withering Glory, You're Courting Death. With the help of the ice-fire seed, the broodmother seemed to be divinely assisted, its aura quickly recovering, once again matching Zhao Dongsheng and the others. The broodmother had countless parasites, allowing it to continuously draw power without fear of exhaustion. Lin Moyu's expression darkened slightly. Fighting like this doesn't seem to be a solution. He could already feel that the space sealed by Zhao Dongsheng was gradually weakening. When the space was restored, the broodmother would surely escape. It had been operating here for many years, and if it escaped now, capturing it again would be difficult. Should I use my trump card? Lin Moyu hesitated, then became resolute. He couldn't use it, it wasn't time to use his trump card yet. Without using the trump card, how could he deal with this troublesome creature? With a thought, the Skeleton Kings surrounded the broodmother at all costs, disregarding their own safety and fighting desperately. Simultaneously, the Dragon Cavalry Legion appeared, with 100 Dragon Cavalry Legions, over 1 billion Dragon Knights, led by the Legion commander, surrounding the entire space tightly. The broodmother was powerful, and although surrounded, it was not afraid at all. Every sweep and turn resulted in the deaths of many Dragon Knights. However, breaking out was not so easy. Lin Moyu took out a large number of origin crystals, all of which were top-grade 7th-tier origin crystals. He began setting up a formation, sending pieces of origin crystal to designated positions. The broodmother was completely surrounded, unaware of Lin Moyu's actions. Lin Moyu set up the formation as quickly as possible. The space was gradually loosening, and Zhao Dongsheng was clearly unable to transform into the cute spirit beast again to stabilize the space. Lin Moyu's formation speed increased, and at this moment, he wasn't seeking perfection, only speed. He didn't use the method of combining talisman and device formations but directly chose to set up a device formation. This approach saved at least a third of the time. For Lin Moyu, not a second could be wasted. He could feel the space loosening, and the broodmother seemed to sense it too, becoming more excited. Screams continued to echo, becoming increasingly piercing. The Dragon Cavalry Legion suffered unknown casualties, but Lin Moyu had no mental space to care about that, trusting the Legion commander to handle it. Finally, after half an hour, the formation was completed. By now, the space had completely loosened, and the previous seal was about to disappear. Lin Moyu's body became half real, half virtual, activating the true form of the Great Tao of Space. Activate the formation, Lin Moyu shouted. The Great Tao of Space appeared, spreading the power of the Great Tao to activate the formation. Activating the formation with the Great Tao of Space made it more powerful. The formation activated, connecting the origin crystals into one, drawing countless lines in the sky. The entire formation covered a 1,000-mile radius, with dense lines interwoven, forming a large net. The loosened space suddenly stabilized, not just stabilized, but even more solid than before. This formation was 7th tier, called the Sealed Space Dragon Trap Formation. It could lock space not only in a physical sense but also in a metaphysical one. If the broodmother was unopposed, it could break through the formation and escape. But now, with the Dragon Cavalry Legion, Skeleton Kings, and Zhao Dongsheng surrounding it, escape was impossible. The excited screams turned to resentment. The broodmother knew it was trapped again and became increasingly frantic. Lin Moyu sneered, "Go crazy all you want, your time is running out." He took out a large number of origin crystals again and began setting up another formation. This time, the formation was more complex, combining both device and talisman formations. As he scattered the origin crystals, Lin Moyu drew runes, interpreting the formation with them. This time, the formation he was setting up was still 7th tier, called the Void-Splitting Killing Formation, a killing formation of the Great Tao of Space, very suitable for it. A 7th tier formation wasn't enough to deal with the broodmother, but Lin Moyu's formation combined device and talisman, providing a basis to deal with the broodmother. Moreover, Lin Moyu already had a backup plan. He had purchased a complete set of formation data from the Lufeng Merchant Guild, which recorded most formations on the origin continent. From 1st tier to 8th tier formations were included, but most were single formations, either device or talisman. To complete a combined formation, he needed to analyze the formation, either sketching out the corresponding talisman formation through the device formation or setting up the corresponding formation through the talisman formation. For other formation masters, this was quite difficult. But for Lin Moyu, it wasn't challenging. He had unparalleled talent in formations and runes, with learning and comprehension abilities unmatched by ordinary people. The Void-Splitting Killing Formation covered over 2,000 kilometers, enough to envelop the entire battlefield. This time, Lin Moyu set up the formation calmly, ensuring it was perfect and could unleash its full power to kill the broodmother. With the Sealed Space Dragon Trap Formation stabilizing the space, Lin Moyu had plenty of time. In the extreme north, in the Demon Emperor's palace, a massive, hazy figure sat on the throne. He was the Demon Emperor, the sole master in the hearts of all the demon clan. For thrilling novels, visit Phailu Novel Network. His words were commands in the demon clan, not to be defied. Before him, thousands of demon clan Dao sovereigns lay unconscious. Many more demon clan Dao sovereigns were being brought in, with numbers continuously increasing. The simultaneous unconsciousness of so many demon clan Dao sovereigns was a major event in the demon clan, and they were immediately brought here. The demon emperor's form was hazy, casting a spell on the unconscious demon clan Dao sovereigns. They all began to glow, and a treasure appeared in the demon emperor's palm, shaped like a pagoda. The pagoda absorbed the light from the demon clan Dao sovereigns and then suddenly shot out 2 beams of cold light. One beam headed towards the Ice and Fire secret treasury, and the other towards the western continent. The demon emperor snorted coldly, "Withering glory, how dare you!" In the marketplace, 160 unconscious Dao sovereigns were in a formation. The formation provided them with power, slowing the damage to their souls. But their souls continued to be harmed, and everyone knew these Tao sovereigns were essentially ruined, with recovery only possible with a medicine like the Great Tao Longevity Pill. However, the number needed was too great, and there weren't enough Great Tao Longevity Pills. Space twisted, and the virtual shadow of the three ancestors appeared. Lu Lian said, "The insects didn't activate before, so we couldn't detect anything. Now that they're active, we can sense them. They must have used a special method to transfer the absorbed power." The three ancestors looked serious. "Use the causal sword to see who's behind this." Lu Lian nodded, producing a sword. The sword was peculiar, hollow in the center, with no edges on either side. The causal sword wasn't long and seemed light, but Lu Lian held it as if it weighed 1,000,000 pounds, clearly struggling. Lu Lian entered the formation, stabbing the causal sword into one of the Tao sovereigns. The causal sword entered without leaving a wound. Lu Lian stabbed each Tao sovereign, and each time, the hollow center of the causal sword lit up. Then, Lu Lian activated the causal sword, which immediately shot out a beam of light. The light exploded in the air, splitting in two, one heading north, the other west. The three ancestors' gaze darkened. "Withering glory, you're courting death." Chapter 2965, 2965. Chapter 2965, I won't give you a chance. The void-splitting killing formation was gradually completed, with the entire process taking a whole day. Among the formations Lin Moyu had set up, this one took the longest. A 7th-tier formation, combining both device and talisman formations, was no easy task even for Lin Moyu. During the setup, the nodes of the formation interconnected, and calculating the position of each node consumed a lot of energy. Especially the drawing of the talisman formation, which had to be extremely precise. After a day, the formation finally took shape. Lin Moyu glanced at the battlefield. "Success or failure, today will decide." The Great Tao of Space appeared, and using the true form of the Great Tao of Space as a foundation, he pushed the power of the Great Tao of Space to the extreme. He mastered the Great Tao of Space, which could be used to annihilate enemies with spatial power. Unfortunately, whenever he encountered enemies, they were either too strong or too weak, leaving little room for his Great Tao of Space to be effective. This time, using the formation, he could fully unleash the power of the Great Tao of Space. The Great Tao of Space spread infinite power, activating the formation, enveloping the entire formation in immense spatial power. The void-splitting killing formation was a pure killing formation, and the moment it was activated, the entire space within a 2,000-mile radius trembled. Cracks appeared in the space, intertwining into a dense net, leaving no gaps for escape. A killing formation is meant for killing. Each formation has a different function, and as a killing formation, its purpose is to kill enemies, sparing none within it. With a thought, Lin Moyu withdrew the undead army and Zhao Dongsheng and the others. In an instant, the world became clean, leaving only the broodmother and Lin Moyu. The broodmother, which was being besieged and surrounded, suddenly found its vision brightening, and its enemies disappeared. Thousands of eyes on the broodmother simultaneously looked at Lin Moyu. After fighting all day, the broodmother's aura remained strong. Countless Tao sovereigns continuously provided power to the broodmother, so it didn't care about consumption. It turned its massive body, and a pair of giant eyes on its head looked at Lin Moyu with confusion. It didn't understand Lin Moyu's actions, wondering why he suddenly stopped fighting. Suddenly, its eyes shrank, and its pupils narrowed into slits. It saw the space in front of Lin Moyu shattering. It wasn't the usual kind of shattering. The space was being torn apart chaotically. This made it feel danger even though it could cut through space. It was always under orderly conditions. But now, the space was shattering chaotically and dangerously. Not only it, but Lin Moyu could also feel the space breaking. The power of the Great Tao of Space is to shatter space, using the broken space to annihilate enemies. However, the damage caused by the broken space depends on one's understanding of the Great Tao of Space and how much the space can be shattered. In his view, the entire space was like numerous sheets of paper stacked together, forming a thick space. Space isn't just one layer but countless layers. If one's power could only tear a few sheets, it was too weak. If one's power could tear all the stacked sheets, it was strong enough to cause significant damage to the enemy. If he could previously only tear 10 sheets, the void-splitting killing formation could tear thousands, making it hundreds of times stronger. Moreover, the void-splitting formation didn't require understanding the Great Tao of Space. It used brute force to tear space. The brood mother could previously cut through space by moving between sheets of paper. When space was torn to pieces, it would also be injured or even killed. The great Tao of space continuously poured power, and the power of the void-splitting killing formation grew stronger. The space covered by the formation began collapsing from the outside in. The entire space was thoroughly shattered. The broodmother's fur bristled, and it frantically charged towards the edge of the formation, using its sharp legs to cut through the broken space. Without any violent movement, at the moment of collision, the broodmother's sharp legs silently shattered. In an instant, the broodmother lost dozens of sharp legs. It screamed and retreated, not daring to touch the broken space again. Lin Moyu saw this and smiled with satisfaction. It seems to work well. A 7th tier formation was enough to kill the broodmother. Moreover, Lin Moyu's use of a combined device and talisman formation brought the power of the 7th tier formation close to the 8th tier, at least at the peak of the 7th tier. Even a 7th realm Tao sovereign entering it might not survive. Additionally, this was a spatial formation, driven by the great Tao of space, making it even more powerful. The speed of space shattering increased, and the range continuously shrank, leaving less space for the broodmother to move. The broodmother trembled uneasily, repeatedly trying to cut through the space and escape. But this space was first sealed and reinforced by the sealed space dragon trap formation, then disrupted by the void-splitting killing formation, making the space completely chaotic, and it couldn't cut through or escape. The void-splitting killing formation grew smaller, and the broodmother seemed to realize it couldn't escape. Thousands of eyes on its body closed, and all its sharp legs retracted, its massive body curling into a ball. Suddenly, fierce flames burned on its body, and beneath the flames was a thick ice shell. Ice and fire counteract each other, but they can also complement each other. With the help of the ice-fire seed, the broodmother applied its strongest defense. Beneath the ice shell was the broodmother's own carapace. Lin Moyu felt the broodmother's power continuously gathering and strengthening, preparing for its final resistance, trying to survive the broken space. Nice idea, doing so indeed gives you a chance. But, I won't give you a chance. Lin Moyu took out the ancestral water, which he hadn't used for a long time, and used 10 drops at once. Ancestral water was precious, and Lin Moyu avoided using it unless necessary. Now, he was generous, using 10 drops. The 10 drops of ancestral water exploded, turning into mist, merging into the void-splitting killing formation. Then, over 100 million units of the power of faith burned fiercely, transforming into an invisible force falling onto the void-splitting killing formation. The dual enhancement of ancestral water and the power of faith dramatically increased the power of the formation. Although it didn't show on the surface, Lin Moyu could clearly feel the power of the void-splitting killing formation multiplying several times. At this point, the power of the void-splitting killing formation could rival an 8th tier formation, and even a 7th realm ancestor facing it would have a slim chance of survival. The broodmother seemed to sense the enhancement of the formation, becoming more uneasy and letting out a low roar. But now, all it could do was resist with all its might, uncertain if it could survive. The space continued to shatter and collapse, finally reaching it. The flames shattered with the space, and the ice shell on its body cracked in an instant. Then came the broodmother's carapace, which only resisted for less than 2 seconds before shattering. To withstand the formation for 2 seconds, the broodmother's carapace was already very hard. Once the carapace broke, the formation began tearing its flesh. The broodmother let out a piercing scream, transforming into a soul impact, sweeping across the surroundings. Chapter 2966, 2966. Chapter 2966. In the end, I still won. The space shattered, turning the broodmother's body into dust along with it. Lin Moyu let out a long sigh of relief. His efforts in setting up the formation had finally paid off, and he had resolved this troublesome creature. Watching the broodmother's massive body rapidly disintegrate, Lin Moyu knew that he had won this battle. Once the broodmother died, its offspring shouldn't survive either, fulfilling half of his promise to the 3 ancestors. Soon, the broodmother's screams weakened as its body broke apart, reaching the end of its life. With a final scream, the broodmother finally fell silent, seemingly dead. However, Lin Moyu's expression remained serious. His form shifted, becoming hazy like mist, almost as if he didn't exist. He switched from the true form of the great Tao of space to the true form of the great Tao of fortune. In this state, he could detect the presence and strength of fortune. He looked at the broodmother with a serious gaze. How is this possible? The fortune hasn't weakened. The fortune still existed, meaning the broodmother wasn't dead yet. Activating the eye of the undead, he immediately saw 2 soul flames. One soul flame he had seen before belonged to the ice fire grass, a soul avatar of the 100 Herb Alliance's leader. The other soul flame also belonged to the broodmother. Now, the 2 soul flames were side by side. Lin Moyu immediately understood what was happening. The broodmother wasn't dead, its physical body was destroyed, but its soul wasn't. As long as the soul survived, regenerating the body wasn't difficult. The key was how the soul avoided being torn apart by the space. Under normal circumstances, it wouldn't be possible. But inside the broodmother, there was something special, the ice fire seed. The ice fire seed came from beyond the heavens and could be refined into an avatar by the 100 Herb Alliance's leader. This indicated its high level, and if it could survive the spatial destruction, it wasn't impossible. The space finally completely shattered, and the area enclosed by the void-splitting killing formation turned into a black hole-like region. All around was darkness. In the center of the darkness, a special seed floated there, intact. The power of the void-splitting killing formation continuously fell on the seed, yet it remained unharmed. It's really tough, Lin Moyu muttered softly. The hardness of the ice fire seed exceeded his expectations. Apart from the bodies of extraterrestrial gods and divine pets, Lin Moyu had never seen anything harder. No, there were 2 more, the divine continent cauldron and the calamity scepter. Lin Moyu had a thought, which is harder, the calamity scepter or the ice fire seed? In fact, when this thought arose, he already knew the answer. The calamity scepter was definitely harder. The power of the void-splitting killing formation continued to fall on the ice fire seed but couldn't harm it. The 2 soul flames, like a pair of good brothers, huddled inside the seed. After some thought, Lin Moyu weakened the power of the void-splitting killing formation. He wanted to go in himself and smash the ice fire seed with the calamity scepter. He knew that only by doing so could he kill the broodmother, and only then could those parasitized Tao sovereigns be saved. Switching back to the true form of the great Tao of space, he waited until the void-splitting killing formation weakened to a certain extent before entering. Gradually, the power of the void-splitting killing formation weakened to 1/3 of its strongest state. At this point, the space began to recover, and although it was still filled with countless spatial cracks, as long as Lin Moyu was careful, he could pass through. The void-splitting killing formation had one major flaw: it would kill everything inside, including the one who set it up. It was an impartial formation, treating everyone equally. Just as Lin Moyu was about to act, a pair of tendrils suddenly extended from the ice fire seed, cutting through a small piece of space and allowing the seed to escape. The whole process was very fast, less than half a second, catching Lin Moyu off guard. In the next second, the ice fire seed appeared thousands of miles away, and Lin Moyu saw with the eye of the undead that the broodmother's soul flame had weakened significantly. Having just cut through space to escape, its soul was slightly damaged. Moreover, it hadn't escaped this layer of space, only teleporting a few thousand miles to escape the void-splitting killing formation. Lin Moyu knew it couldn't cut through space again anytime soon. He immediately pursued it, reaching the location in no time. At this moment, the ice fire seed emitted a burst of light, gathering immense power from the surrounding void. The broodmother's recently destroyed body began to regenerate. The regeneration was fast, with the broodmother's numerous hosts providing it with immense power. While the broodmother was regenerating, the 100 Herb Alliance's leader inside the ice fire seed wasn't idle. It consumed soul power, unleashing intense flames and ice. The collision of ice and fire created violent explosions, sealing the world and preventing anyone from approaching. Lin Moyu knew it was buying time for the broodmother to recover. Once the broodmother recovered, the situation would return to square one, and all his previous efforts would be wasted. Even Lin Moyu felt a bit helpless at this moment. For thrilling novels, visit Philo Novel Network. The power of the 100 Herb Alliance's leader was strong, and even with just a fragment of its soul, it could unleash incredible power in a short time, making it difficult for him to approach. Suddenly, the continuous ice fire explosions stopped. Even the broodmother's regeneration halted. The power that had been continuously pouring in from the void also stopped. The broodmother lost its source of power, and its regeneration immediately ceased. The broodmother was restless, constantly emitting cries. Lin Moyu didn't know what had happened, but it seemed to be a good thing. This opportunity might be fleeting, giving Lin Moyu no time to think. He rushed over in an instant, crossing hundreds of miles at the fastest speed, and grabbed the ice fire seed in his hand. Then he swung the calamity scepter like smashing a walnut, hitting it hard. Bang! With a light sound, cracks appeared on the ice fire seed. Without thinking, Lin Moyu struck it again. Another light sound, and the ice fire seed shattered on the spot. The two souls inside the ice fire seed were exposed to Lin Moyu. At this moment, the soul gem on the calamity scepter shone brightly, emitting a strong suction force. The two souls had no resistance and were absorbed by the soul gem. In the blink of an eye, the moon was bright and the wind was clear, and this great battle finally came to an end. Lin Moyu sensed that the broodmother's fortune had completely dissipated, and he let out a long breath. In the end, I still won. In the western continent, at the headquarters of the 100 Herb Alliance, an angry roar was heard. Demon Emperor, 3 ancestors, how dare you stop me? I will make you pay. Lin Moyu stood still, not moving. With the battle over, he finally had time to ponder the situation. What happened at the last moment was strange. Why did the ice fire seed suddenly stop resisting, and even the broodmother's regeneration halted? Every unusual occurrence has a root cause. After some thought, Lin Moyu realized there was only one possibility. The 3 ancestors must have intervened, disrupting the broodmother and the 100 Herb Alliance's leader from the outside. Only this explanation made sense. The specific situation can only be understood by asking the 3 ancestors when I return. Chapter 2967, 2967. Calamity Chapter 2967, Ice and Fire Dao Tree. Lin Moyu rested for a moment before setting off again. He remained vigilant, aware that the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance had been operating in the Ice and Fire's secret realm for many years and might have backup plans. He also understood that obtaining the Ice and Fire Dao stones wouldn't be easy. Otherwise, with the 100 Herbs Alliance leader's abilities, he would have acquired them long ago. He wouldn't have waited so many years, only to use an avatar to obtain them when the Ice and Fire grass appeared. To acquire the Ice and Fire Dao stones, there must be many conditions to fulfill. If these conditions couldn't be met, it would be difficult to obtain them. Lin Moyu relied on his senses to move towards areas where the ice and fire aura was more concentrated. After walking for an unknown length of time and covering a vast distance, he finally arrived at his destination. The sight before him left Lin Moyu somewhat shocked. He stood atop an ice mountain, looking out at an endless expanse of land. Above the land, numerous tornado-like storms connected heaven and earth. Some of these storm vortexes were composed of pure ice, exuding intense cold, while others were made of flames, resembling divine dragons rising from the earth to the sky. Within the flame vortexes were deep blue powders, which Lin Moyu had previously guessed were the raw materials for the Ice and Fire Dao stones. Their essence was the power of the Flame Dao. The ice vortexes were similar, containing transparent powders whose essence was the Ice Dao. These ice and fire vortexes rose from the earth, shooting straight into the high sky. In the upper atmosphere, Dao power permeated, and the mist was thick. With the naked eye, it was impossible to see the top of the sky. Since entering this space, Lin Moyu hadn't flown. The reason was that the ice and fire grass didn't fly, which made Lin Moyu instinctively feel that flying might be dangerous. But now, he had to go up and take a look. Of course, he wouldn't go himself. The skeleton general appeared beside him and shot up like a rocket towards the sky. However, before the skeleton general had flown very high, a gust of wind came from the front, carrying the aura of the heavenly Dao. The pure ice Dao gave the wind color, a faint, pale green flashed through the air. This pure Dao power was far more refined than the Dao power of the 9th Frost Star Lord. The skeleton general was instantly frozen, then fell from the sky and shattered into pieces. The undead lost its effectiveness when faced with the invasion of Dao power. When the skeleton general died, it was truly dead. The sky is indeed dangerous. In this space, Dao power guards the sky. Flying to a certain height will trigger an attack. I wonder where these tornado storms lead to. Lin Moyu manifested his spatial Dao true body and began to sense the space around him. In his imagination, these tornado storms should lead to another space. If he could find the connection point between the two spaces, he could pass through. However, after sensing for a while, Lin Moyu showed a look of disappointment. He hadn't detected any corresponding spatial connection points. Lin Moyu's gaze held a thoughtful look. Without spatial connection points, how can one enter the next space? The leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance should know, otherwise the ice and fire grass wouldn't have come in this time. Besides him, there should be another one who might know. I wonder if it will work. Lin Moyu suddenly realized he had overlooked something. He took out a handful of fragments. These were the shards of the ice and fire seed. Although the ice and fire seed had been shattered and the soul hiding inside had been absorbed by the soul gem, there was still some residual soul power in the fragments. The soul gem was too proud to care about these remnant soul powers. Lin Moyu now saw value in these residual soul powers. He wanted to use the resurrection of the dead to try and revive the insect mother. It might not work, but it was worth a try. The insect mother had been here for countless years and might know how to proceed. The undying flame burned fiercely, enveloping these fragments. Lin Moyu immediately sensed souls beginning to gather. However, the current situation was different from before. Although souls were regathering, the insect mother's physical body did not appear. Judging from past experience, the resurrection of the dead had not succeeded. As for the other soul powers belonging to the 100 Herbs Alliance leader, he was still alive and well, so he couldn't become a resurrected being. But what happened next surprised Lin Moyu. The ice and fire seed began to reassemble, becoming whole again. All the fragments fit back together like a puzzle. The recovery of the ice and fire seed was unexpected for Lin Moyu. He thought about the circumstances of the resurrection of the dead spell and finally understood what was happening. Neither the insect mother nor the remnant soul of the 100 Herbs Alliance leader met the conditions for the resurrection of the dead. The recovery of the ice and fire seed indicated that it had once been a living being. The seed was its body, but later it was obtained by someone and refined. Before being refined, or perhaps long ago, it had been alive, so it could be revived under the effect of the resurrection of the dead. A seed becoming a resurrected being left Lin Moyu both amused and bewildered. The newly resurrected ice and fire seed turned towards Lin Moyu, trembling slightly. Lin Moyu asked curiously, "Do you have consciousness?" The voice of the resurrected being sounded in his ear, "I have consciousness." The voice was crisp, like that of a child. It was a seed that hadn't yet had the chance to sprout and grow. Even if it had once been alive, it must have been very young. Lin Moyu asked, "What exactly is your identity?" Although he had been calling it ice and fire grass all along, Lin Moyu didn't know its true name. Ice and fire grass was just a name he had given it, as was ice and fire seed. The ice and fire seed said, "I am an ice and fire Dao seed, a seed of the ice and fire Dao tree." Lin Moyu had never heard of the ice and fire Dao tree. After its explanation, he learned about the origin of the ice and fire Dao tree. The ice and fire Dao tree was a special tree that grew on the Dao itself. More accurately, it was a type of tea tree. Its leaves could be used to brew tea, and drinking it could help one comprehend the ice and fire Dao. For cultivators who practiced both the ice and fire Dao simultaneously, the leaves of the ice and fire Dao tree were an unparalleled treasure. As a seed of the ice and fire Dao tree, it had possessed spirituality from the moment it became a seed. But later, its spirituality was destroyed, and it became an ordinary ice and fire seed. The ice and fire seed was later obtained by the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance, who refined it into his avatar, becoming the ice and fire grass. Unfortunately, the 100 Herbs Alliance leader's method was crude, and the refining process was incorrect. He failed to fully utilize the seed's properties. The ice and fire grass didn't manifest the seed's power at all, which is why it only reached the 5th level of the Dao Venerable realm. During the refining process, the 100 Herbs Alliance leader fused his soul into the seed, bringing along corresponding memories. Now, although the soul had been absorbed by the soul gem, most of these memories remained in the seed. In response to Lin Moyu's inquiries, the ice and fire seed told him all these memories. Lin Moyu finally understood how to enter the space where the ice and fire Dao stones were located. Chapter 2968, 2968. 2968. Even if we die, we can't die in the storm. There were only two ways to enter the space where the ice and fire Dao stones were located. One was to follow the tornado storms, riding them into the next space. The other method was to cut through space, then enter through layers of spaces. However, there were many layers of space in this ice and fire secret realm, and the space containing the ice and fire Dao stones was hidden very deep. The insect mother had searched for it before but couldn't find it. That space likely had some restrictions, making it impossible to enter without the correct method. That's why the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance had devised a plan and refined the ice and fire grass. Since the space couldn't be found, the only option was to follow the tornado storms. But following the tornado storms was dangerous. Even the ice and fire grass could barely resist the pure Tao power. However, the 100 Herbs Alliance leader had thought of a method, using the insect mother's spatial abilities to temporarily create a spatial tunnel directly to the center of the storm. The center of the tornado storm was safe, with no Tao power inside. But doing this required enough powerful energy. The insect mother alone wasn't enough. So he parasitized countless Tao venerables, using their power to open the spatial tunnel. These memories remained in the avatar along with the remnant soul of the 100 Herbs Alliance leader. Although the remnant soul was gone, the memories still existed in the ice and fire seed, now obtained by Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu felt this was tricky. Although he understood the spatial Tao and could create spatial tunnels, he wasn't as precise and powerful as the insect mother. If there was any mistake and he didn't enter the center of the spatial storm, he would be killed by the Tao power in the storm. In this situation, even the new life talent would be useless. Each time he was reborn, he would be killed again, over and over, until he died completely. Lin Moyu wasn't very confident, and he didn't want to gamble. This gamble had an 8 or 9 out of 10 chance of failure. But Lin Moyu was reluctant to retreat. Not for the ice and fire Tao stones, but for that outer god. The outer god was very likely in the same space as the ice and fire Tao stones. Faced with this situation, Lin Moyu pondered for a long time but couldn't find the correct way to enter. Unless he used the Tao immortality pill, which could allow him to pass through the storm and enter. But this was the last resort. The Tao immortality pill was precious and meant for life or death situations. Using it here seemed somewhat wasteful, but if he really couldn't think of any other way, he might have to use it. Lin Moyu muttered to himself, "How exactly can I get in?" The ice and fire seed suddenly said, "Master, I have a way." Lin Moyu was slightly startled, "Tell me." Although it was a seed of the ice and fire Dao tree, of extraordinary origin, it was still just a seed. Lin Moyu could sense that its power wasn't strong, so how could it help him enter the tornado storm? The ice and fire seed said, "I can grow larger and protect the master to enter, but my power isn't enough. I need enormous power to do it." Lin Moyu thought of the ice and fire seed's true form, which could remain unscathed even in the face of the space-splitting killing formation. Its true form was indeed hard enough. Moreover, it originally lived in the ice and fire Dao, so it had sufficient resistance to ice and fire Dao power. What it lacked was only power. In the past, with a mature ice and fire Dao tree providing power, it could sprout in the Dao until it could grow independently. Now, Lin Moyu had to provide the power. Lin Moyu asked, "What do you need?" The ice and fire seed replied, "I can absorb various powers, the power of spirit veins, origin crystals, Dao power, all are fine." Lin Moyu thought for a moment, "Will 7th grade origin crystals work? Is that enough?" The ice and fire seed said, "As long as there's enough quantity, it's no problem." Quantity, Lin Moyu might lack other things, but he had more than enough origin crystals. He still had over 1,000 7th grade origin crystals, which should be more than enough by any calculation. Lin Moyu felt he could give it a try. If it didn't work, then he'd use the Dao immortality pill. Lin Moyu leapt down from the mountaintop, entering a world full of ice and fire storms. It was alternately cold and hot here, the temperature changes enough to kill an ordinary first-level Dao Venerable. If celestial Venerables came here, almost all of them would die. Lin Moyu manifested his power Dao true body, golden light flowing over him. He also activated his undying golden body to its maximum, moving through this area. Occasionally, Dao fire and Dao ice would pass by. Lin Moyu had to be extremely careful not to come into contact with them. With his current strength, just a wisp of Dao fire or Dao ice could kill him. Lin Moyu moved at an extremely slow pace, carefully approaching the nearest tornado storm. This was an ice tornado storm. In the transparent storm, bits of transparent powder swirled up towards the sky. In the storm, there were occasional streaks of pale green power flowing, that was pure Dao ice, with a temperature so low it was terrifying. Lin Moyu stopped 1,000 meters away from the storm and said to the ice and fire seed, "It's up to you now." The ice and fire seed flew out from his palm, instantly growing to 3 meters tall. The ice and fire seed split open, revealing a space. After Lin Moyu entered, the seed closed up again. Lin Moyu stayed in the space, the view before him becoming transparent. He could see the outside situation through the ice and fire seed. At this moment, a pale green Dao ice fell directly onto the ice and fire seed. The ice and fire seed shook violently but wasn't frozen. Lin Moyu could feel the ice and fire seed's power rapidly decreasing. The ice and fire seed said, "Master, I need to replenish my power." Lin Moyu immediately took out a pile of premium 7th grade origin crystals, over 100 of them. Use as much as you need. The ice and fire seed began absorbing the power of the origin crystals, replenishing itself. The ice and fire seed's aura quickly recovered, and it stopped shaking. Lin Moyu could feel the ice and fire seed's power rapidly increasing. A few seconds later, the ice and fire seed said, "Master, we're setting off." Lin Moyu nodded, "Go." As he said this, Lin Moyu had already prepared the Dao Immortality pill. If the ice and fire seed couldn't hold on, he would immediately take the Dao Immortality pill. Even if they had to die, they couldn't die in the ice and fire storm. Once dead in the storm, it would be a true death. If he died elsewhere, there was still a chance to revive with the new life talent. As long as he was alive, there was still a way. The ice and fire seed charged into the storm without hesitation. The entire world immediately began to spin rapidly. The rotation speed of the storm was far faster than it appeared from the outside, so fast that the view became almost blurry. Boom, boom, boom. Collision sounds kept coming as the ice and fire seed collided with the transparent powder. The transparent powder also contained pure Dao power, not weak in strength. The ice and fire seed kept shaking with each impact. The power of the origin crystals was being rapidly absorbed. In the blink of an eye, several origin crystals had already shattered due to their power being exhausted. These were 7th grade origin crystals, containing powerful energy, yet they were used up so quickly. This showed how terrifyingly much power the ice and fire seed was consuming. Fortunately, it was born from the ice and fire Dao and had extremely strong resistance to ice and fire Dao power. This also showed that even the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance didn't really understand how to truly utilize the ice and fire seed. Lin Moyu took out more 7th grade origin crystals, preparing for any need. The ice and fire seed carried Lin Moyu higher and higher in the storm, rushing towards the sky. Chapter 2969, 2969. Chapter 2969, The Helplessness of a Former Dao Realm Being. Universal Career Change. Necromancer. I am the Calamity by Slow Pig. The roaring continued, and the ice and fire seed kept shaking. In the storm, powerful forces repeatedly struck the ice and fire seed. Fortunately, the ice and fire seed had strong resistance to Dao power. Combined with the sufficient origin crystals provided by Lin Moyu, the ice and fire seed remained unharmed in the storm filled with Dao power. Inside, Lin Moyu felt the terrifying Dao power. Even a tiny bit of this power would be enough to kill him hundreds of times over. It wasn't just the sheer magnitude, but the difference in levels. This meant that even with numerous undead legions, they would be useless here. From this, Lin Moyu could infer that when facing a true Dao realm expert, none of his methods would be effective. Lin Moyu reassessed the strength of the 3 ancestors and others. These Dao realm powerhouses hidden in the origin continent, if they took action, those 9th level Dao venerables on the origin continent would be nothing. And the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance was on the same level as the 3 ancestors. If they truly acted shamelessly and personally came to kill him, would his so-called trump cards really be effective? At this moment, Lin Moyu lost confidence. He wasn't sure if his various methods and trump cards could even keep him alive in front of a Dao realm expert. Killing them was nearly impossible. Lin Moyu was only thinking about survival. As Lin Moyu was lost in thought, the ice and fire seed was carried by the storm, rushing up to the sky and into the mist. From this high vantage point, the view changed, and he could finally see the entire land clearly. The Dao in this space was interwoven with 3 forces. These 3 forces all reached the Dao level, namely the Fire Dao, Ice Dao, and a Verdant Dao full of vitality. Needless to say, the Verdant Dao belonged to the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance. He had operated here for countless years, using the insect mother to deeply embed his own power. He had already influenced this space layer. If he continued, he might be able to enter the area where the ice and fire Dao stones were located through this space layer. Multiple approaches, acting simultaneously. It seems that Alliance leader is also a cautious person, not putting all his eggs in one basket. The insect mother, the ice and fire grass, and using his own power to influence the secret realm. With various methods, as long as one succeeded, he would profit. This showed how much he valued the ice and fire Dao stones. Clearly, the ice and fire Dao stones were very important. But Lin Moyu still had no idea what the ice and fire Dao stones were used for. Lin Moyu suddenly asked, "Little one, do you know about the ice and fire Dao stones?" Lin Moyu called the ice and fire seed, "Little one," because its consciousness had just been born when it met with misfortune, and its consciousness was extinguished. Now that it had become his resurrected being and regained consciousness, its actual living time was very short. The ice and fire seed answered honestly, "I'm not very clear, but in its memories, the fire Dao stones are very important." Lin Moyu felt somewhat helpless. It seemed this question would have to be asked to the three ancestors. However, given the three ancestors' personality, they might not tell him. The ice and fire seed flew higher and higher, reaching an altitude of 100,000 meters, finally seeing the end of the storm. At the end of the storm were huge vortexes. The vortexes rotated slowly, like the greedy mouths of giant beasts, sucking in all the storms. The ice and fire seed carried Lin Moyu along the storm into the vortex. The view before him became blurry, the rotation speed increased dramatically, and a strong sense of weightlessness came over him. Lin Moyu knew he was crossing through space. The crossing process was quite long, indicating that this space layer was very thick. A moment later, Lin Moyu felt the impacts on the ice and fire seed becoming less frequent, and the Dao power began to weaken. "We're almost there." Vigilance rose in his heart. Lin Moyu didn't know what the space he was arriving in would look like, or if there were dangers. Had the methods of the 100 Herbs Alliance leader completely collapsed, or were there still remnants? Would he be waiting for him in that space layer? Everything was unknown. All Lin Moyu could do was remain vigilant. Suddenly, a bright light appeared before his eyes. The light rapidly expanded in his vision as the ice and fire seed rushed into it at an astonishing speed. As his vision cleared, Lin Moyu saw the situation before him, followed by an intense feeling of disgust. He saw an outer god, and that outer god was also looking at him, its gaze cold, cruel, and bloodthirsty. This was Lin Moyu's first true eye contact with an outer god. The previous outer gods he had encountered were all in a comatose state. The outer god here was not comatose but was coldly staring at him. Lin Moyu could sense the killing intent in its eyes, as well as intense disgust. Just as he despised it, it equally despised him. Driven by the Tao, between the beings of the origin continent and the outer gods, there was only hostility, no possibility of compromise. Kill, kill, kill. In the depths of his mind, Lin Moyu seemed to hear the voice of the Tao. The Tao was telling him that he must kill the other party. He must use every means possible, regardless of the method, even if it meant mutual destruction, he had to kill it. This was the command given by the Tao. If he dared to disobey, he would be punished. The punishment would be severe: loss of realm, death, dissipation of Tao, anything was possible. Lin Moyu finally understood how frustrated those Tao realm powerhouses like Jin Yong must have felt. He must have also received the Tao's command. No matter how unwilling, he had to fight to the death with the outer gods. Lin Moyu realized he had fallen into a desperate situation. If he couldn't kill the other party, even if the outer god didn't kill him, the Tao wouldn't let him off. The Tao wouldn't accept any excuses. Simply put, the Tao only looked at results. Why is it like this? They say the Tao is supremely impartial, but here, the Tao is clearly very selfish. What exactly are the outer gods? Why do they make the Tao so disgusted? Lin Moyu took a deep breath. He left the ice and fire seed and surveyed his surroundings. The outer god was 100,000 meters away, staring intently at him. However, Lin Moyu wasn't worried. Although this outer god was in a conscious state, it was sealed and couldn't move. What sealed it was a formation. This formation was incredibly complex. Among all the formations Lin Moyu had seen, only the super 9th grade formation at the bottom of the realm sea could compare. Most crucially, all the nodes and materials of this formation were stones containing both ice and fire powers. Ice and fire Tao stones. Lin Moyu took a deep breath. There wasn't just one ice and fire Tao stone here, but many. The ice and fire Tao stones that the three ancestors sought but couldn't obtain were here in thousands, an astonishing amount. However, no matter how many there were, Lin Moyu didn't have the mind to touch them. These ice and fire Dao stones were all nodes of the formation. Each node had 1 to 3 ice and fire Dao stones. Lin Moyu could sense that the ice and fire Dao stones contained powerful Dao force. Not just powerful, but pure. The powerful and pure ice and fire Dao force made the power of the ice and fire Dao stones extremely strong. Using them as formation materials, the power of this formation was unimaginable. Suddenly, the outer god let out an angry roar. The roar transformed into countless arrows, filling the sky and bombarding towards Lin Moyu. Chapter 2970, 2970. Calamity Chapter 2970, How to Kill This Outer God. Lin Moyu remained vigilant, immediately retreating as soon as the outer god made a move. He knew very well that the outer god was too strong, comparable to the Dao realm. Especially this outer god before him, possibly even stronger than an average Dao realm being. A distance of 100,000 meters was too close for it. Even with this grand formation firmly controlling it, Lin Moyu still felt danger. Sure enough, the outer god could still launch an attack. Fortunately, Lin Moyu retreated quickly enough, and the outer god's attack missed. The arrow formed from sound passed through Lin Moyu's original position and flew into the sky, exploding with a thunderous boom. The terrifying sound waves, far more horrifying than thunder, transformed into shockwaves sweeping across the land. Lin Moyu was blown back by the sound waves, his heart trembling as he involuntarily muttered, "This level of power has exceeded imagination." The sound waves alone could blast him back thousands of meters. Moreover, Lin Moyu could see that because the formation was controlling it, it couldn't lock onto him. Otherwise, he might not have been able to avoid that arrow just now. The outer god's sudden attack activated the formation composed of ice and fire Dao stones. 2 giant dragons appeared within the formation, 1 ice dragon and 1 fire dragon. The 2 dragons spewed flames and ice respectively, landing on the outer god's body. Half of the outer god's body was engulfed in flames, while the other half was frozen in ice. As ice and fire collided, a violent explosion occurred, causing the outer god to stagger repeatedly. The power unleashed by this Dao-level ice and fire envelopment was terrifyingly strong. Lin Moyu felt that even a slight aftershock would be enough to kill him. Yet the outer god could endure such explosions, feeling pain but remaining uninjured, truly frighteningly powerful. The outer god seemed to realize it couldn't kill Lin Moyu. It stared intently at him, its eyes filled with endless killing intent. Occasionally, it would let out beast-like roars of rage. Lin Moyu understood clearly that people from the origin continent could not communicate with outer gods. This wasn't just a language barrier, but a severance of communication at the level of the Dao. No matter what sounds or words the outer god made, to his ears, it all sounded like bestial roars. And whatever he said would sound the same to the outer god. This fundamentally eliminated any possibility of interaction between the two sides. Lin Moyu didn't approach closer, instead retreating another 100,000 meters to observe from afar. He observed not only the outer god but also the formation composed of ice and fire Dao stones. This formation was extremely powerful and complex. But no matter how complex and powerful a formation is, there's always a root to be found. Lin Moyu discovered that while the power of the ice and fire Dao stones was suppressing the outer god, it was also being gradually consumed. The deep blue and transparent powder drawn from the other 2 spaces could replenish the power of the ice and fire Dao stones. This way, the formation composed of ice and fire Dao stones could continue operating indefinitely, no matter how many years passed. Otherwise, the formation's power would eventually be exhausted over time. This reminded Lin Moyu of the seal at the bottom of the Realm Sea, whose power source was the Realm Sea itself. The immense pressure and omnipresent terrifying power in the depths of the Realm Sea were actually replenishing the formation's consumption. After half a day of observation, Lin Moyu finally shifted his attention away from the formation. He realized this formation was too perfect, too powerful, far beyond his current level of formation mastery. Although he could understand most of it, that was all he could do, understand. Just like the origin conversion formation in the Hurricane warship, he could understand it but couldn't replicate or dismantle it, let alone set it up. This was because his mastery of formations and understanding of the human Dao were not yet sufficient. Perhaps one day, when his comprehension of the great Dao was deep enough and his formation skills reached a new level, he would be able to fully grasp it. For now, Lin Moyu couldn't find any flaws in the ice and fire formation before him, much less dismantle it to obtain the ice and fire Dao stones. If he wanted to obtain the ice and fire Dao stones, the only way would be to kill the outer god. Once the outer god died, this formation would lose its purpose, and he might have a chance to acquire the ice and fire Dao stones. Initially, Lin Moyu didn't want the ice and fire Dao stones, but now his mind had changed. Both the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance and the 3 ancestors wanted the ice and fire Dao stones, which meant they must have miraculous uses. That being the case, Lin Moyu began to plan how to kill the outer god and obtain the ice and fire Dao stones. This outer god was controlled by the formation, but it was still not easy to deal with. Just that attack earlier was almost beyond his capability to handle. If the distance had been only 10,000 meters instead of 100,000 meters, he definitely wouldn't have been able to dodge it. Faced with such a powerful outer god, Lin Moyu felt it would be difficult to kill. Lin Moyu said to the ice and fire seed, "Little one, can you withstand that guy's attacks?" The ice and fire seed answered honestly, "I don't know, we'd have to try to find out." Lin Moyu said, "Then let's try it." As a resurrected being, the ice and fire seed wouldn't disobey Lin Moyu's orders. Lin Moyu gave it a 7th grade origin crystal, and the ice and fire seed immediately zipped off towards the outer god. The outer god looked at the approaching ice and fire seed with apparent disdain, casually letting out a low growl. The growl transformed into arrows, accurately striking the ice and fire seed. Boom! Like the ringing of a great bell, the ice and fire seed was blasted away. But it only flew back a few hundred meters before stopping. Although the ice and fire seed was shaking violently, there were no visible wounds on its body. It can withstand it. Lin Moyu's heart leapt with joy as he watched the entire process. As long as the ice and fire seed could withstand the attacks, his plan to kill the outer god was halfway complete. Lin Moyu instructed mentally, "Fly behind him and take a look." The ice and fire seed didn't hesitate, immediately flying towards the outer god's back. As soon as it arrived behind the outer god, its pair of wings suddenly began to vibrate. In an instant, Lin Moyu seemed to see countless pairs of wings, stirring up a mighty wind. Countless wind blades shot out from the wind, densely bombarding the ice and fire seed. The ice and fire seed was blasted away again. The whole process was very quick, taking less than a second. The outer god seemed to treat it as an insignificant matter, not even considering the ice and fire seed worth its attention. Lin Moyu once again gave orders to the ice and fire seed, instructing it to approach the outer god from different directions. The outer god, trapped by the formation and unable to move, became the perfect test subject. No matter which direction the ice and fire seed approached from, it would be attacked by the outer god. Although it couldn't move, it could manipulate the vast powers of heaven and earth to attack its enemies. However, this method also had a cost, the punishment from the formation. The grand formation would repeatedly erupt, the ice and fire dragons reappearing to spew ice and fire onto the outer god. The outer god was engulfed in powerful explosion after explosion, but it felt pain without injury, continuing to attack the ice and fire seed relentlessly. After a series of experiments, the results surprised Lin Moyu. Approaching the outer god from behind turned out to be the most dangerous method. The outer god's pair of wings could unleash endless wind blades, each one beyond Lin Moyu's ability to withstand. The safest approach was actually from the front. The outer god's attack method was very simple, only using sound wave attacks. Approaching from the sides or above and below would also trigger its attacks. Fortunately, the ice and fire seed was hard enough not to be injured, which provided some room for maneuvering. Chapter 2971, 2971. Chapter 2971, let's see what trick you're up to. Universal career change. Necromancer. I am the calamity by Slow Pig. Lin Moyu thought of a few methods that might be worth trying. One of them was to use the ice and fire seed to approach the outer god, just like when it brought him here, and then use the calamity scepter to smash the outer god to death. As for whether the calamity scepter could kill it, Lin Moyu had never doubted this. At most, he'd need to smash it a few times. If once wasn't enough, then twice. If twice wasn't enough, then 4 times. The only problem was that when striking, he would inevitably have to leave the ice and fire seed. At that moment, if the outer god launched an attack, how would he defend himself? Based on his previous experiments, Lin Moyu had determined that attacking from the front was the best option. Any other direction was more dangerous than the front. The main reason was the pair of wings on the outer god's back. Although these wings were also sealed and controlled, their power was too strong. The wind blades they could generate could repel the ice and fire seed and could kill him. Only from the front were these wings unable to exert their power, giving him a chance. Kill the outer god, obtain the Tao's reward, acquire the ice and fire Tao stones. Lin Moyu muttered to himself, making up his mind. By now, he had been in the ice and fire's secret realm for over 20 days, nearly 1/5 of his time consumed, with not much left. If this method didn't work, he'd have to find another way, which would also take time. Having made a decision, it was time to act. The ice and fire seed quickly grew larger, encasing Lin Moyu inside, then flew towards the outer god from the front. The formation composed of ice and fire Tao stones was peculiar. It only targeted the outer god and didn't care about the incoming ice and fire seed. Lin Moyu knew that this formation must be guided by the Tao. The Tao's aversion to the outer god had become the formation's targeting system. The outer god launched an attack at the ice and fire seed, spitting out thunderous sounds that transformed into thousands of ice blades bombarding it. The ice and fire seed was constantly pushed back but kept advancing, taking 2 steps back and 3 steps forward, progressing with great difficulty. It took a full half-hour to fly across the 200,000-meter distance. The entire process consumed over 100 premium 7th-grade origin crystals. Lin Moyu didn't mind how many origin crystals were consumed, he had plenty of those. What Lin Moyu cared about was that something seemed off about the outer god. The outer god's power was undoubtedly strong, and this level of consumption was certainly just a drop in the bucket for it. The oddity Lin Moyu sensed came from the outer god's eyes. The outer god's eyes were filled with killing intent, but as he got closer, a hint of excitement appeared in its gaze. That's right, excitement. It was actually excited by his approach, which was very strange. Normally, shouldn't it be angry? For a terrifying being comparable to a Tao Venerable to be approached by an ant like Tao Venerable, yet unable to do anything about it, should be an insult to such a powerful being. How could it possibly be excited? A sense of vigilance arose spontaneously. Something's not right, this is definitely not right. Should I test it, or just give up now? Lin Moyu pondered internally, but having come so close, it seemed somewhat regrettable to retreat now. Sometimes, unwillingness to give up can be fatal. But sometimes, unwillingness to give up can also lead to huge benefits. Balancing between the two was difficult to judge. After some thought, Lin Moyu had an idea. The ice and fire seed facing the outer god's attacks wasn't a problem for now. As long as there were enough origin crystals, the ice and fire seed could persist for a long time with its innate toughness. Inside the ice and fire seed, Lin Moyu couldn't manifest his Tao true body, but condensing the Fate Sword wasn't a problem. However, without the enhancement of the Fate Tao true body, the effect of the Fate Sword would be reduced by 30%. But now, there was no other option. I really feel sorry for my fate. He had consumed a lot of fate earlier to deal with the insect mother, and it hadn't recovered yet. But now, he had to consume fate again. The Fate Tao appeared, and Lin Moyu forcibly increased his fate, making it extremely strong in a short time. The stronger his fate, the more it could indirectly increase the power of the Fate Sword. The Fate Sword flashed, an invisible light flickering 3 times, slashing the outer god 3 times in succession. Flames of anger immediately shot from the outer god's eyes. Although the power of fate couldn't kill the outer god, it could weaken its power, making it very uncomfortable. The outer god roared incessantly, waves of powerful force blasting from its mouth, pushing the ice and fire seed back repeatedly. At this moment, the formation erupted. Ice and fire dragons appeared, showering the outer god with fire and ice. Meanwhile, Lin Moyu continued to use the Fate Sword, constantly attacking the outer god. The outer god's roars grew more intense, its voice filled with anger and thick killing intent. Lin Moyu's gaze was steady, suffering such insult, yet still unwilling to reveal its true purpose. What trump card does it have? Is there some way it can kill me? The outer god seemed frenzied, but Lin Moyu still felt that it wasn't truly mad. Its frenzy was largely an act. Lin Moyu trusted his intuition. The outer god's reaction was definitely problematic. But the current problem was, even knowing the outer god was up to something, should he continue with the plan? If he didn't follow the plan, he'd have to think of another way, which would take a lot of time. Currently, only the Calamity Scepter could kill the outer god. And to use the Calamity Scepter, he had to leave the protection. So even knowing the outer god was problematic, he seemed to have only one option, to approach. Well then, let's see what trick you're up to. Lin Moyu finally decided to approach, but he had made ample preparations. He held a Tao immortality pill in his hand, not just in his physical hand, but also in his soul's hand. This way, he was prepared for any eventuality. The ice and fire seed approached the outer god again, with less than 10 meters left between them. Suddenly, the ice and fire seed changed direction, flying downward from the front. The outer god's form was huge, nearly 100 meters tall. With the ice and fire seeds change in direction, it directly avoided the outer god's head, coming to its chest area. For Lin Moyu, it didn't matter where the calamity scepter hit, as long as it made contact. After changing position, the ice and fire seed charged towards the outer god, while a gap appeared on the seed, from which Lin Moyu rushed out holding the calamity scepter. Suddenly, space distorted, stars shifted, and the outer god vanished from Lin Moyu's sight. An illusion. Lin Moyu reacted extremely quickly, swinging the calamity scepter without thinking. He was already very close to the outer god. Even if it was an illusion, this strike should hit. But his strike hit nothing. A chill rose from the bottom of his heart. He knew this wasn't an illusion. Before him was a void, then points of starlight began to appear. The starlight grew brighter, drawing closer, and countless divine beasts appeared in his vision. At the same time, a strong sense of disgust came over him, confirming the identity of these beings. They were indeed divine beasts. These divine beasts' auras weren't strong, only at the 5th level of Tao Venerable, yet they gave Lin Moyu a sense of danger. Chapter 2972, 2972. Chapter 2972, so this is the special divine beast. Universal career change. Necromancer. I am the calamity by Slow Pig. Divine beasts, carrying an extremely disgusting aura, rushed in from afar. They moved at incredible speed, tiny points of light rapidly expanding before his eyes, growing brighter and brighter. Lin Moyu could now see their appearance clearly. They looked like rats, but far more ferocious than real rats. Each had 5 tails growing from its back, with stingers at the end of each tail, like scorpions. The appearance of these divine beasts reminded Lin Moyu of a spirit beast called the scorpion rat. These before him should be called 5-tailed scorpion rats. The most crucial aspect wasn't their appearance, but the aura they emitted, which seemed to exist between reality and illusion. Divine beasts possessing illusory power were extremely unusual. Illusory power had decent damage against both outer gods and divine beasts. While not fatal, it could weaken and injure them. But now, with these divine beasts possessing illusory power, the effect of Lin Moyu's own illusory power would be greatly reduced. Lin Moyu thought of the special divine beast mentioned by the 3 ancestors. The 3 ancestors hadn't seen that special divine beast either, only having heard of it. They only knew it possessed illusory power. Previously, Lin Moyu had thought the insect mother might be that special divine beast, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. The 5-tailed scorpion rats charged in from all directions, their numbers astonishingly high, at least several million. If it were anyone else, they would have panicked long ago. But for Lin Moyu, a million wasn't much to look at. Even if they were at the 5th level of Tao Venerable, his undead army might not be able to defeat them, but it could at least hold them off for a while. With a thought, the Dragon Rider Legion mobilized en masse. 10,000 Legion commanders of the Dragon Rider Legion appeared in the void. Then the Sea Dragon Rider Legion appeared, each commander leading 10 million Dragon Riders, totaling 100 billion. Compared to the dense mass of dragon riders, the mere million 5-tailed scorpion rats seemed pitifully few. However, the 5-tailed scorpion rats' realm and strength far exceeded the Dragon Rider Legion. Although vastly outnumbered, they charged forward without fear. The 2 sides collided with a thunderous crash, and the battle erupted. The Dragon Rider Legion was inferior in strength to the 5-tailed scorpion rats. The first wave of contact resulted in massive casualties. However, their numbers were simply too great. Despite heavy losses, they still managed to hold back the 5-tailed scorpion rats. The Legion commanders directed the battle methodically, using their numerical advantage to surround the 5-tailed scorpion rats. The 5-tailed scorpion rats rampaged through the Dragon Rider Legion but struggled to break through completely. The sheer number of dragon riders was overwhelming, with over 100 billion being truly despair-inducing. Moreover, with the blessing of undead immortality, fallen dragon riders quickly revived. As members of the undead army, they felt no fear and were unafraid of death. They would not retreat even if fought to the last man. Lin Moyu observed the battle, examining the characteristics of the five-tailed scorpion rats and searching for their weaknesses. The five-tailed scorpion rats possessed some traits of divine beasts, with astonishingly strong defenses. Ordinary attacks were ineffective against them. No matter how the Dragon Rider Legion attacked, they couldn't harm a single hair on the rats. Their five tails possessed extremely strong offensive power. Not just the stingers at the tail ends, but also the scales on the tails. When attacking, these scales would open up, transforming into blades that could slice dragon riders to pieces with a swing. After watching for a while, Lin Moyu knew that relying solely on the Dragon Rider Legion wouldn't be enough to harm them. The Dragon Rider Legion could only use their numerical advantage to hold them back. Lin Moyu summoned a ball of flames, from which the skeleton throne emerged. A full 3,000 skeleton kings mobilized together. The skeleton kings were a notch stronger than the Dragon Rider Legion, reaching the 4th level of Dao Venerable. Especially when 3,000 skeleton kings acted together, their combat power could double, making them formidable even among 4th level Dao Venerables. The skeleton generals all raised their bone swords. Dao technique. Blood kill. Sword light bloomed on the five-tailed scorpion rats. Those locked onto by the sword light showed obvious signs of slowing. Explosions sounded from within their bodies, then burst forth brilliantly. Huge wounds appeared on the five-tailed scorpion rats. Blood kill had detonated their blood essence, using their own life force to attack themselves. In a sense, the blood kill Dao technique was somewhat unreasonable, not caring whether the target was illusory or real. However, in Lin Moyu's view, blood kill also had its limits, which depended on the skeleton kings. If blood kill was used to attack an outer god, the effect wouldn't be very good because the outer god's realm was too high and its power too strong. The skeleton kings could only mobilize a small amount of its blood essence. Some of the five-tailed scorpion rats were severely injured. They let out shrieks of anger. But soon, their seemingly gruesome wounds began to heal rapidly. These fellows, like other divine beasts, have extremely fast recovery abilities. Strong defense, strong recovery, inherent illusory power, and greatly reduced vulnerability to illusory power. They have almost no weaknesses. Apart from overwhelming them with more powerful force, there seems to be no other way. Lin Moyu roughly analyzed the current situation. It was impossible to kill the five-tailed scorpion rats relying solely on the skeleton kings and Dragon Rider Legion. Currently, among conventional methods, only the Calamity Scepter could kill them. Let's test again how strong their resistance to illusory power is. Lin Moyu thought to himself as he manifested his Fate Dao True Body and condensed the Fate Sword. Lin Moyu felt he had consumed too much fate since entering the secret realm. If he ended up with nothing in the end, it would be a huge loss. The Fate Sword flew out, emitting a faint sword light. A targeted five-tailed scorpion rat let out a shriek, clearly very uncomfortable. Its aura was weakened somewhat. Fate had affected its strength, making it slightly weaker than the other five-tailed scorpion rats. Lin Moyu only tried once before stopping. He had already confirmed that the five-tailed scorpion rats indeed had extremely strong resistance to illusory power. Moreover, there were over 1 million five-tailed scorpion rats before him. It wasn't realistic to weaken them one by one with the Fate Sword. He didn't have that much fate to consume or that much time. With a thought, he ordered the Dragon Rider Legion commanders to let a few five-tailed scorpion rats through. The Legion commanders controlled their troops to open a gap in the encirclement, letting 4 five-tailed scorpion rats through. As soon as they broke free from the encirclement, the five-tailed scorpion rats charged towards Lin Moyu. He was their primary target. Lin Moyu took a deep breath and manifested his Power Dao True Body, transforming into a 10-meter giant, even larger than the five-tailed scorpion rats. As his form grew, the Calamity Scepter in his hand also enlarged. Lin Moyu's fate roared as he swung the Calamity Scepter at the charging five-tailed scorpion rats. Bang! The Calamity Scepter smashed a five-tailed scorpion rat like swatting a fly, instantly killing it and leaving no trace. Lin Moyu then swung 3 more times in quick succession, not giving the five-tailed scorpion rats any chance to attack, smashing them to death on the spot. One five-tailed scorpion rat had managed to strike with its tail, but it was still smashed to pieces along with its body by the Calamity Scepter. The power of the Calamity Scepter was once again proven. It was indeed absurdly strong. The divine beast's powerful defense was little better than tofu against the Calamity Scepter. After killing 4 five-tailed scorpion rats, Lin Moyu didn't continue. He waited quietly for the Dao's reward to arrive. Chapter 2973, 2973. Chapter 2973, If you won't move, I'll just give up. After waiting for a moment, the Tao reward did not descend. Lin Moyu showed no disappointment, his eyes still bright. It seems my guess wasn't wrong. These five-tailed scorpion rats aren't the real deal. Lin Moyu had suspected earlier that divine beasts couldn't be this weak. Moreover, how could there be as many as 1,000,000 identical divine beasts? It could only mean that these five-tailed scorpion rats weren't the real target. Behind them, there must be another divine beast, that one would be the true divine beast. Lin Moyu muttered to himself, if I'm not mistaken, these five-tailed scorpion rats should be individuals produced by that divine beast. These five-tailed scorpion rats also have independent fate and are independent living beings. But killing them doesn't earn a Tao reward. To truly get a Tao reward, he must kill the hidden divine beast. To escape this place, he must also find that divine beast. And the direction to find that divine beast lay with these five-tailed scorpion rats. Without another word, Lin Moyu swung the calamity scepter and joined the battle. He moved swiftly, nimbly weaving through the Dragon Rider Legion. Wherever he went, the calamity scepter swung continuously, smashing five-tailed scorpion rats into pulp. Lin Moyu brought death wherever he went. Moving quickly, Lin Moyu had killed over 1,000 five-tailed scorpion rats in the blink of an eye. Lin Moyu estimated that at his current speed, it would take about 10 days to finish off all these creatures. 10 days, and that was assuming no more five-tailed scorpion rats appeared. But as things stood, there seemed to be no better option. As he continued smashing, Lin Moyu said to the calamity scepter, "You guys, can't you move a little on your own?" The calamity scepter remained motionless, showing no reaction whatsoever. Lin Moyu felt helpless. He really couldn't make this thing move on its own. He could only keep smashing, killing the five-tailed scorpion beasts one by one. Fortunately, the five-tailed scorpion beast's realm and power weren't strong, only at the 5th level of Tao Venerable. Lin Moyu, after manifesting his power Tao true body and wielding the calamity scepter, could still handle them. After smashing for an entire day, over 100,000 five-tailed scorpion beasts had fallen. Suddenly, a thought occurred to Lin Moyu, I wonder if the divine land cauldron would work. The world tree emerged from the soul world, grabbing the divine land cauldron and smashing it down. The divine land cauldron was equally solid. The five-tailed scorpion rats hit by it were also smashed to pieces, with an effect almost identical to Lin Moyu using the calamity scepter. The world tree's branches swung it around wildly, killing a large number of five-tailed scorpion rats. But even with their combined efforts, it would take 5 or 6 days to kill all these creatures. However, with the calamity scepter refusing to move on its own, Lin Moyu really couldn't think of a better method. 3 days passed, and over half of the 1,000,000 five-tailed scorpion rats had been killed or injured. Lin Moyu had become numb from all the smashing, doing it almost habitually now, one strike after another. The world tree also swung the divine land cauldron tirelessly, smashing again and again. Light suddenly flashed in his vision, and in the distance, another large patch of light appeared. Lin Moyu was startled. Within the light, another large group of five-tailed scorpion rats flew over, again numbering 1,000,000. What the hell? Lin Moyu was frustrated. Before finishing off the previous batch, another had arrived. It seemed endless. He rubbed his head, feeling a headache coming on. It wasn't because there were too many five-tailed scorpion rats, but because they kept coming in waves, making it impossible to finish them off. Lin Moyu swung the calamity scepter, saying, fiercely, can't you move a little on your own? I'm your master too. The calamity scepter remained unmoved. After smashing 2 more five-tailed scorpion rats to death, Lin Moyu knew this couldn't go on. He recklessly poured his soul power into the calamity scepter, saying to it, won't move, huh? Then I'm not playing anymore. Originally, if we killed this outer god, the soul power would still go to you guys. Now, I'm not killing it anymore. Less than a second after he finished speaking, Lin Moyu noticed the soul gem on the calamity scepter suddenly lit up. Every time, souls were absorbed by it. Lin Moyu knew the outer god's soul must be extremely attractive to the soul gem. As soon as he threatened to give up, this thing finally decided to move. The soul gem glowed brightly, absorbing a large amount of Lin Moyu's soul power, then a beam of light shot from the gem into the balance gem. The balance gem immediately burst with light, illuminating the void. Both the Dragon Rider Legion and the five-tailed scorpion rats were all enveloped in the light. Every being was coated with a layer of light, and the aura of the five-tailed scorpion rats began to drop rapidly. The balance gem's ability was simple, balance. And this balance was quite unreasonable. It used the weakest member in the area as the standard. The weakest realm here was naturally Lin Moyu's. Thus, everyone's realm was suppressed to the second level of Tao Venerable. The five-tailed scorpion beasts plummeted from the fifth level of Tao Venerable. The same happened to the Dragon Rider Legion, dropping to the second level of Tao Venerable. The balance gem seemed to ignore the distinction between illusion and reality, treating both the same. Lin Moyu had an idea and pointed with his finger. As space distorted, the skeleton hell appeared. Countless hell fiends flew out, surrounding the five-tailed scorpion rats and biting into them. Lin Moyu discovered that the balance gem balanced not just realms, but also defense and attack power. The only things it didn't balance were certain characteristics. For example, the divine beast's powerful defense and amazing recovery ability were unique traits that the balance gem couldn't affect. Similarly, the hell fiend's ability to eat anything also couldn't be balanced. Moreover, hell fiends were also difficult to kill. It was almost impossible for beings of the same realm to kill hell fiends. Under the hell fiend's constant gnawing, the divine beast's defenses quickly crumbled. They were bitten and their flesh eaten. Although they recovered quickly, they couldn't keep up with the speed of the hell fiend's consumption. The Higanbana flowers swayed, purple light shimmered, and the five-tailed scorpion rat's power was further weakened. The hell eyes swept over, causing many five-tailed scorpion rats to scream in agony as their souls were severely damaged. Screams continued endlessly. The five-tailed scorpion rats affected by the balance gem were soon eaten to the bone by the hell fiends. This effect was much faster than Lin Moyu and the World Tree's efforts. The five-tailed scorpion rats charging from the distance were also affected by the balance gem. As they approached within a certain distance, their realms plummeted. The skeleton hell expanded, swallowing them all. After just 1 hour, all the five-tailed scorpion rats had been completely devoured by the hell fiends. After devouring so many five-tailed scorpion rats, the hell fiends had grown slightly stronger. This discovery made Lin Moyu realize that hell fiends could also strengthen themselves by devouring outer gods. This was like cheating, completely unreasonable. Having dealt with the five-tailed scorpion rats, Lin Moyu immediately flapped his undead wings and flew forward. He was heading towards the place where the five-tailed scorpion rats had originally appeared. He held the calamity scepter in his hand, the balance gem glowing brightly, as if paving the way for Lin Moyu. After flying for a long distance, light appeared again in Lin Moyu's vision. A moment later, he finally saw what was happening, and his eyes couldn't help but show shock. Chapter 2974, 2974. Chapter 2974, So You Wanted to Control Me. Since beginning his cultivation, few things could truly shock Lin Moyu. His personality also meant he wasn't easily startled. Usually, it was his actions that shocked others. But this time, Lin Moyu was genuinely shocked. He saw the soul of an outer god, identical to the outer god he had seen before. The difference was that he had previously seen its physical body, but now he was seeing its soul. The soul brought an even stronger feeling of disgust than the physical body. Upon seeing the outer god's soul, Lin Moyu finally realized where he was. He was inside the outer god's soul world. The soul world of an outer god was very different from that of cultivators from the origin continent, which is why Lin Moyu hadn't noticed at first. But now, he was completely certain. The outer god had deliberately lured him close, then brought him into its soul world. Beside the outer god's soul was a semi-illusory divine beast. This divine beast had the upper body of a rat and the lower body of a scorpion, with 9 tails swaying behind it. 9 tails meant this divine beast had reached the 9th level of Tao Venerable. Apart from the number of tails and realm, it was identical to the 5-tailed scorpion rats. Lin Moyu also noticed that this 9-tailed scorpion rat was more illusory, as if it had almost lost its physical form. If it could grow one more tail, it might truly enter the realm of illusion, completely shedding its physical form. 9 tails meant the 9th level of Tao Venerable. 10 tails would likely mean the Tao realm. In front of them were 10 mountains of flesh, constantly pulsating like beating hearts, looking grotesque and nauseating. The flesh mountains were shaped like volcanoes, with large circular mouths constantly erupting. Each eruption produced a 5-tailed scorpion rat. Lin Moyu now understood how the 5-tailed scorpion rats appeared. This divine beast was indeed special, capable of creating subordinates. Although the created subordinates weren't strong individually, their large numbers made them terrifying. But all this wasn't the full extent of what shocked Lin Moyu. In the soul world lay two people. They were two human powerhouses. One was completely sealed in thick ice, while the other was engulfed in flames. They were the true source of Lin Moyu's shock. Both were Dao realm powerhouses, emitting terrifying auras that made it impossible to approach. But Lin Moyu could see that they were actually dead. Only their corpses remained, their souls had long since departed. However, Lin Moyu didn't know what method they had used to continue protecting their physical bodies with Dao power even after death. Beyond his shock, Lin Moyu was also puzzled about why the corpses of two Dao realm beings were here. At the same time, he wondered why he was here. The look in the outer god's eyes when it saw him had been partly excited, and it had deliberately lured him close and brought him here. His thoughts raced, and Lin Moyu quickly considered a possibility. Only this possibility seemed to fit logically. The outer god wanted to control him, use him to break the formation composed of ice and fire Dao stones, allowing it to escape. The formation of ice and fire Dao stones, beyond the 9th grade, prevented the outer god from moving. If its divine beast went out, it would also be targeted. The divine beast's strength hadn't reached the Dao realm. Even with illusory power, once targeted by the grand formation, it would likely not survive. The Dao realm corpses, protected by Dao power, couldn't be manipulated. So when Lin Moyu entered, the outer god was excited, thinking it could be rescued. But was that really the case? A hint of killing intent flashed in Lin Moyu's eyes. "I came to kill you, how did it turn into me coming to save you?" he shouted, and the Dragon Rider Legion charged forward in overwhelming numbers. The bloody charge activated, turning the undead army into a sea of blood, surging forward like massive waves. The outer god remained motionless, its eyes showing a hint of disdain. The 9-tailed scorpion rat moved. Its 9 huge tails suddenly grew enormously, each reaching tens of thousands of meters in length, sweeping across. Immense power accompanied the giant tails as they pressed down. The sea of blood immediately collapsed. The Dragon Rider Legion, only at the 3rd level of Dao Venerable, was no match for the 9-tailed scorpion rat. The 9-tailed scorpion rat wiped out the Dragon Rider Legion in one sweep, letting out excited shrieks. Its 9 tails raised high, sharp stingers aimed at Lin Moyu. Those shrieks and the glinting stingers seemed to be mocking Lin Moyu for overestimating himself. The 5-tailed scorpion rats produced by the Flesh Mountains were just its toys. Lin Moyu's gaze was cold, completely disregarding the 9-tailed scorpion rat's threat. He raised the Calamity Scepter high, its balance gem glowing brightly, illuminating the surroundings. A halo appeared around the 9-tailed scorpion rat, and its power began to plummet rapidly. Not just the 9-tailed scorpion rat, but even the outer god's power was decreasing. The 9-tailed scorpion rat showed obvious panic, emitting urgent shrieks. It could feel its power draining away, and the massive loss of power made it panic. The outer god was much calmer. It opened its mouth, and a roar burst forth. The entire soul world shook and rumbled, impacting Lin Moyu's soul. The outer god's roar carried intense soul-shocking power, rushing into Lin Moyu's soul world, directly assaulting his soul body. Faced with a Dao realm powerhouse like the outer god, Lin Moyu's soul seemed incredibly fragile. At this moment, Lin Moyu felt his soul body was like a leaf swaying in the wind, completely defenseless. Lin Moyu knew what the other party was trying to do, destroy his soul, leaving only his physical shell. Then it would control his physical body to break the formation seal and escape. Faced with the Dao realm's soul shock, Lin Moyu almost instinctively wanted to take the Dao immortality pill. At this time, even the world tree was as defenseless as he was. Only the Dao immortality pill could keep his soul from being destroyed. Suddenly, the soul gem flashed brightly, and an earthy yellow light surged from his soul body. The light enveloped his soul body, firmly blocking the outer god's attack. His soul remained unaffected in the boundless gale. The soul gem's sudden display of power saved Lin Moyu a Dao immortality pill. The outer god roared again, but seeing Lin Moyu unharmed, it showed a hint of surprise. Then, the wings behind its soul body began to vibrate frantically, its entire soul glowing. As the wings moved, Lin Moyu realized it didn't just have one pair of wings, but two. Before this, its physical body clearly only had one pair of wings, but its soul body had two pairs. The two weren't consistent. This indicated that one pair of wings on its physical body had been cut off. As the wings vibrated, the outer god's soul body flashed with strong light, actually stopping its realm from dropping further. The power of the balance gem was blocked. But the divine beast wasn't so lucky. While the outer god had stopped its realm from dropping, the divine beast hadn't. In the blink of an eye, the divine beast's realm had dropped to the 6th level of Tao Venerable and was still falling. The divine beast showed panic, no longer daring to attack Lin Moyu. Instead, it fled to the outer god's side, glaring fiercely at Lin Moyu. Boom! Suddenly, ice and fire erupted simultaneously from the outer god's body. The violent explosion sent the unprepared divine beast flying. Chance! Lin Moyu's eyes lit up brilliantly. Chapter 2975, 2975. Chapter 2975, The Special Ability of Sealing Techniques. The outer god's soul suddenly came under attack, with ice and fire Tao powers colliding and exploding violently. The nine-tailed scorpion rat, caught off guard, was sent flying. As its realm dropped, only its innate powerful defense remained unchanged, while the defense from its realm disappeared. By now, the divine beast's realm had dropped to the 5th level of Tao Venerable. This explosion directly caused it to suffer severe injuries, its skin splitting open. Lin Moyu wouldn't miss this opportunity. As the saying goes, courtesy demands reciprocity. He decided to collect some interest from the divine beast for what the outer god had just done to him. Lin Moyu transformed into a streak of light and charged forward, swinging the calamity scepter. The nine-tailed scorpion rat seemed to know the power of the calamity scepter. It let out a terrified shriek, its huge tail swinging defensively. The tails moved at an astonishing speed, almost breaking the constraints of space, instantly appearing before Lin Moyu. Although its realm had dropped, its combat power was still formidable. Lin Moyu didn't want to directly block with his body, so he changed the direction of the calamity scepter, heavily smashing it against the tails. Lin Moyu was pushed back by the massive impact force, while the 5-tailed scorpion rat flew backward with a shriek. 3 of its 9 tails were broken by the strike. Against the terrifying power of the calamity scepter, the 9-tailed scorpion rat's tails were as fragile as tofu. The 9-tailed scorpion rat fled far away, shrieking incessantly. The 10 flesh mountains shook violently, then simultaneously flew towards the 9-tailed scorpion rat. The flesh mountains rapidly shrank, landing on the 9-tailed scorpion rat's body. At this point, 10 flesh balls grew on the 9-tailed scorpion rat's head, looking like 10 rat heads from afar, appearing very bizarre. Lin Moyu now understood that the 10 flesh mountains were actually the flesh balls on its head. These flesh balls could produce subordinates of much lower realms. Such a divine beast was indeed special. After the 10 flesh balls returned to their place, the 9-tailed scorpion rat's realm drop suddenly slowed, then gradually stopped. Its realm finally stabilized at the 4th level of Tao Venerable, no longer dropping. Although only at the 4th level of Tao Venerable, it was a true divine beast, not like those manufactured subordinates. Its combat power wouldn't be inferior to many at the 6th level of Tao Venerable. The 3 broken tails were regenerating and would be fully recovered in a few minutes. Combined with its powerful defense and recovery abilities, its true combat power was even stronger than an ordinary 6th level Tao Venerable. But for Lin Moyu, a 6th level Tao Venerable was no longer impressive. The space beside him distorted, and the giant sword Tao Venerable and Zhao Dongsheng appeared simultaneously. Suddenly, the 10 flesh balls on the 9-tailed scorpion rat's head simultaneously spewed out mist. The 9-tailed scorpion rat inhaled this mist, and its body was immediately enveloped in fog. The fog spread faster than wind, instantly covering a large area. Lin Moyu's body stiffened, and then the Dragon Rider Legion disappeared. The giant sword Tao Venerable and Zhao Dongsheng, who had just appeared, also vanished instantly. Lin Moyu was stunned. My summoning techniques have been sealed. He was surprised that this divine beast could seal his summoning techniques. Fortunately, other techniques weren't sealed, and even the skeleton hell could still be used. Lin Moyu was curious about how the opponent could specifically seal his techniques. How it was done was no longer important now, he needed to kill it. The outer god was still under attack from the ice and fire Tao, making this the best opportunity to kill the 9-tailed scorpion rat. If he missed this chance, it would be much harder to kill it later. Lin Moyu pointed, and the space around the 9-tailed scorpion rat distorted as the skeleton hell swallowed it. The Higanbana flowers swayed, the hell eyes swept across, and the nine-tailed scorpion rat's power dropped again as it screamed in pain. The soul shock made it very uncomfortable. However, as a divine beast with illusory power, the soul shock could only cause it some pain, far from enough to truly harm it. The hell fiends had already pounced on its body, instantly covering it entirely, including all 9 tails. The hell fiends bit frantically, regardless of whether they could penetrate its defense or not. Then the hellfire river surged upward, its massive impact force pushing the 9-tailed scorpion rat towards the netherworld black pool. The netherworld black pool spun rapidly, and the head of the netherworld black dragon emerged, opening its huge mouth to reveal sharp teeth. The netherworld black dragon was currently the strongest killing move in the skeleton hell. Even a divine beast would suffer greatly if bitten. The 9-tailed scorpion rat seemed to know the power of the netherworld black dragon. Its 9 tails shook frantically, trying to shake off the hell fiends. But the hell fiends held on tightly, biting it, making it difficult to shake them off. If it were at full strength, it could kill all the hell fiends with a single burst of power. But now, at only the 4th level of Tao Venerable and weakened by the Higanbana, killing the hell fiends wasn't so simple. With the black dragon right before it, the 9-tailed scorpion rat shrieked again. At this moment, one of the flesh balls on its head spewed out a large amount of mist. The mist enveloped everything, and the skeleton hell instantly disappeared. The skeleton hell had been sealed too. With 2 of his major techniques sealed in succession, Lin Moyu finally understood that although the 9-tailed scorpion rat could seal his techniques, it came at a cost. 8 of the 10 flesh balls on its head had dimmed, with only 2 remaining unchanged. Sealing his summoning techniques earlier had consumed the power of 6 flesh balls. Sealing the skeleton hell consumed the power of 2 more flesh balls. By this calculation, it could at most seal 2 more of his techniques, and very likely only 1. However, Lin Moyu felt that not all techniques could be sealed. For example, it might not be able to seal his origin techniques. Lin Moyu snorted coldly, manifesting his power Tao true body. His body glowed with golden light, and he activated his undying golden body simultaneously. At the same time, the space around Lin Moyu became distorted, with spatial power surging wildly. He activated both his spatial Tao true body and power Tao true body simultaneously, the maximum he could bear without injury. Whoosh! His undead wings spread behind him, and Lin Moyu transformed into a streak of light, charging forward. Fully activating his undead wings with soul power and distorting space with his spatial Tao, Lin Moyu's speed reached the extreme, almost like teleportation. In an instant, Lin Moyu charged before the 9-tailed scorpion rat, swinging the calamity scepter down on its head. The 9-tailed scorpion rat was startled, its tails instinctively sweeping towards him. Bang! The tails were broken by the calamity scepter. This time, 6 were broken at once, turning the 9-tailed scorpion rat into a 3-tailed scorpion rat. It retreated with terrified shrieks, the last 2 flesh balls on its head also spewing mist. The mist enveloped everything, once again sealing Lin Moyu's techniques. Lin Moyu knew this was unavoidable and didn't bother to stop it. Let's see what technique you seal this time. His Tao true bodies disappeared. The last 2 flesh balls had sealed his power and spatial Tao true bodies. Lin Moyu's lips curled slightly, useless. His undead wings flapped, chasing after it again. Now, with his time Tao true body enhancing him, Lin Moyu's personal time flowed extremely fast. What was 1 second for the 9-tailed scorpion rat was 3 seconds for Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu's speed thus exceeded his previous speed by 3 times, once again appearing before the 9-tailed scorpion rat as if teleporting. No new moves, just smashing hard with the calamity scepter. The 9-tailed scorpion rat shrieked, its last 3 tails whipping towards him, colliding with the calamity scepter. The tails snapped instantly, turning the 9-tailed scorpion rat into a tailless scorpion rat. This time, Lin Moyu didn't intend to let it go. He pushed his speed to the extreme, pursuing it relentlessly. Chapter 2976, 2976. Chapter 2976, At least you have some conscience. Lin Moyu had limited time. He needed to kill the 9-tailed scorpion rat while the outer god was preoccupied, otherwise it would be troublesome. The 9-tailed scorpion rat seemed to know this too, and it fled desperately. All 9 tails had been smashed off and were regenerating. The flesh balls on its head were all consumed, greatly reducing its resistance to the balance gem. Its realm began to drop again. The balance gem used Lin Moyu as the standard, pulling the nine-tailed scorpion rat's realm towards the second level of Tao Venerable. The nine-tailed scorpion rat's escape speed was imperceptibly decreasing. Lin Moyu manipulated the time Tao to buy himself more time. Combined with recklessly activating his undead wings, his speed far surpassed the nine-tailed scorpion rats. In just a few seconds, Lin Moyu had caught up to the nine-tailed scorpion rat. The nine-tailed scorpion rat kept changing directions, trying to dodge. Lin Moyu pointed, and a red light flashed. Technique. Time curse. This long unused technique became the final straw that broke the nine-tailed scorpion rat's back. Under the time curse, the nine-tailed scorpion rat momentarily froze. It fell into a state of temporal confusion for an instant, though the entire process lasted less than 0.1 seconds. But for Lin Moyu, 0.1 seconds was enough to do many things. The calamity scepter struck down like lightning, hitting the nine-tailed scorpion rat squarely on the head. The 10 flesh balls exploded, and the nine-tailed scorpion rat's head was smashed like tofu by the calamity scepter. But this wasn't enough. Lin Moyu swung the scepter dozens of times in an instant. The nine-tailed scorpion rat was quite large, and Lin Moyu didn't spare any flesh, smashing it thoroughly from head to tail. The nine-tailed scorpion rat reacted midway, but with most of its body already pulverized, it couldn't escape. Its body became illusory as it tried to save itself through dematerialization. Unfortunately, the calamity scepter didn't care whether its target was solid or illusory, it smashed all the same. The nine-tailed scorpion rat's attempt at self-preservation was doomed to fail. As the nine-tailed scorpion rat was completely destroyed, Lin Moyu felt all his previously sealed techniques recover. The disappearance of the seals meant the nine-tailed scorpion rat was dead. Along with the seals, the feeling of disgust also vanished. This confirmed at the Tao level that the nine-tailed scorpion rat had indeed been killed. A roar sounded in his ears. The outer god, still under attack from the ice and fire Tao, seemed to sense its divine beast had been killed and was incredibly angry. This anger was different from any before, truly genuine rage carrying endless killing intent. Lin Moyu sensed a deeper meaning in its anger and sneered, "Your plan has failed." The ability to control him wasn't the outer god's, but the nine-tailed scorpion rat's power. From the moment he entered until now, the outer god had stood motionless in one spot. Even when attacked by the ice and fire Tao, the outer god hadn't moved an inch. This was very unreasonable. Lin Moyu guessed that the outer god's soul, like its body, was also being controlled. The ones controlling it were very likely the corpses of those two Tao realm powerhouses. Looking at it this way, it was hard to say whether these two corpses were brought here by the outer god or if they came voluntarily. In this situation, apart from using its roar for soul attacks, the outer god had no other abilities. So Lin Moyu was 80% certain that the one able to manipulate him must have been the nine-tailed scorpion rat. Now that the nine-tailed scorpion rat was dead, the outer god's plan had completely failed. How could it not be furious? Not only had this plan failed, but without any unexpected changes, it might never be able to escape. The soul gem on the calamity scepter flickered, absorbing all of the nine-tailed scorpion rat's soul. However, the soul gem didn't keep this soul for itself alone. It divided the soul into 3 parts, one for itself, one for the balance gem, and one for the elemental gem. Among the 3 gems on the calamity scepter, only the elemental gem hadn't shown any activity yet. Even Lin Moyu didn't know what it could do. Another roar sounded, transforming into a soul shock wave rushing towards Lin Moyu. The soul gem lit up in response, forming a yellow halo that protected Lin Moyu. This time, Lin Moyu wasn't affected at all. Lin Moyu chuckled, "At least you have some conscience." The soul gem's sudden action to actively protect Lin Moyu from the soul shock made him feel as if it was in a particularly good mood and thus willing to help him out. Otherwise, it would only act if his soul was in mortal danger. Turning to look, he saw the outer god staring at him with furious eyes, its gaze filled with killing intent as if it wanted to kill him countless times over. This was understandable. After all, he had killed the nine-tailed scorpion rat, cutting off its hope of escape. The ice and fire on the outer god's body had receded. Its soul was patched black and white, marks left by the ice and fire Tao, but these marks were fading. Enveloped in the earthy yellow light of the soul gem, Lin Moyu flew towards the outer god. The outer god roared continuously, sending waves of soul shocks crashing towards him, but they were all blocked by the yellow halo, unable to cause Lin Moyu any harm. Finally, the outer god seemed to tire of roaring, or perhaps realized its soul attacks were useless against Lin Moyu. Gradually, it stopped roaring. Though it closed its mouth, the killing intent in its eyes didn't diminish at all. Lin Moyu flew to the front of the outer god but was blocked when he was about 100 meters away. It was the outer god's protective divine light. Its soul, like its body, had a protective divine light. Those of insufficient realm couldn't approach it, let alone harm it. This outer god was stronger than the one in the Thunder Secret Realm. To approach it required even more powerful strength. Back then, Lin Moyu had used a Dao immortality pill to forcibly raise his realm to the 9th level of Dao Venerable to kill it. But this time, Lin Moyu wasn't sure. He didn't know if raising his realm to the 9th level of Dao Venerable would be enough to approach the outer god. Perhaps the 9th level of Dao Venerable might not be enough. But with the arrow on the bowstring, he had to shoot. Whether it would work or not, he had to try. He tossed a Dao immortality pill into his mouth, and a special origin aura emanated from Lin Moyu's body. Origin technique: gather strength. In an instant, endless power gathered from the undead army towards him. Lin Moyu's realm rose rapidly. In the blink of an eye, Lin Moyu's realm reached the 6th level of Dao Venerable. With a sound like shattering glass, the bottleneck between the 6th and 7th levels of Dao Venerable was broken by the immense power, and Lin Moyu's realm continued to rise. 7th level, 8th level, 9th level, peak of the 9th level. Lin Moyu's realm reached the peak of the 9th level of Dao Venerable, but this was only a realm increase. His comprehension of the Dao still remained at the 2nd level of Dao Venerable. But this didn't matter. He activated his power Dao True Body, instantly transforming into a 10-meter giant. The advantage of the power Dao True Body showed at this moment. He didn't need to comprehend any Dao to command this explosive increase in power through the power Dao. Lin Moyu broke through the outer god's protective divine light and charged forward with murderous intent, wielding the Calamity Scepter. Chapter 2977, 2977. Chapter 2977. The elemental gem finally moved. Lin Moyu's killing intent was mixed with excitement because of the imminent Dao reward. Killing the 9-tailed scorpion rat, plus this winged outer god, would surely yield a greater Dao reward than ever before. He was somewhat anticipating how many Dao patterns he could condense. In Lin Moyu's eyes, the outer god had become the best material for cultivation, with an efficiency thousands or even tens of thousands of times greater. Seeing Lin Moyu charging over, the outer god didn't roar. Its soul glowed all over, waves of powerful force bursting forth from the soul, surging out like layers of ocean waves. Lin Moyu immediately felt strong resistance. The outer god had strengthened its protective divine light, preventing Lin Moyu from getting close. It seemed to have realized that the Calamity Scepter was Lin Moyu's true means of killing it. As long as it kept Lin Moyu at bay, it would be safe. Even if trapped here for countless years, as long as it could stay alive, there would be hope. Perhaps one day, it might be rescued. So, it didn't want to die. Lin Moyu could see in its eyes that it didn't want to die. At its level, as long as there was no calamity, it could live for countless years. So not wanting to die was an instinct every living being had. No living being truly wanted to die. Unfortunately, sometimes there was no choice. Lin Moyu got closer and closer to the outer god, soon only 50 meters away. In the last 50 meters, the resistance intensified, and Lin Moyu's advance slowed. The Dao immortality pill could last for 10 minutes. If he could reach the outer god within 10 minutes, he could kill it. The last 50 meters were actually just over 40 meters. Lin Moyu's body was now 10 meters tall. He only needed to charge another 40+ meters to hit the outer god. Lin Moyu believed in the power of the Calamity Scepter. It would definitely be able to smash the outer god to death. The final stretch felt like wading through a swamp. The outer god had pushed its protective divine light to the extreme, waves of powerful force constantly obstructing Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu approached inch by inch, his speed gradually decreasing. But calculating the time, it should be enough. 45 meters, 40 meters, 35 meters. The distance was gradually shortening. Suddenly, a faint light appeared in the outer god's eyes, along with a pair of incredibly complex symbols. These symbols were extremely intricate, neither Dao patterns nor runes, but Lin Moyu could see they contained a powerful force. This force made his heart tremble. Sure enough, it had a backup plan. Lin Moyu wasn't surprised. He knew the outer god wouldn't give up resistance so easily and must have a trump card to save its life. But with the Tao immortality pill, Lin Moyu believed no trump card could stop him. The outer god's soul suddenly lit up, the symbols in its eyes instantly spreading across its entire soul body. Boom! Lin Moyu felt the world spinning. All the scenes before his eyes vanished, and the world changed. When his vision cleared, Lin Moyu saw the ice and fire Tao stones again, as well as that enormous and complex formation. The outer god had expelled him from its soul world back to the real world. This wasn't a problem, but what gave Lin Moyu a headache was that he was now hundreds of meters away from the outer god. All his previous efforts had been wasted. Lin Moyu felt somewhat frustrated. The outer god indeed wasn't so easy to kill. When it found its protective divine light couldn't stop him, it used the transition between the soul world and the real world to distance him again. Just like when it had pulled him into the soul world earlier, this ability was something Lin Moyu couldn't resist. If so, the outer god could use this ability to constantly switch him between the real world and the soul world. Trying to get close to it became an impossible task. 10 minutes was short. A few transitions would be enough to consume the time of the Tao immortality pill. Such a simple method had broken the stalemate, seemingly preserving its life. The outer god was indeed clever. It stared at Lin Moyu, its eyes filled with killing intent and a hint of disdain. Lin Moyu didn't continue charging forward. He knew rushing over would only waste time and be meaningless. But if he didn't charge, what else could he do? There was indeed a method: throw the calamity scepter and smash from afar. After all, the outer god couldn't move from that spot. The calamity scepter would definitely hit. And if one hit missed, he could throw it multiple times. It would hit eventually. Lin Moyu returned to 100 meters away from the outer god, trying to swing the calamity scepter, aiming at the outer god, making a throwing motion. Although he didn't want to do this, there seemed to be no better option now. The outer god also saw what Lin Moyu was about to do. Its pupils contracted sharply, and the wings on its back spread out, rustling. Strong winds began to blow. From its appearance, it intended to use the wind to affect the calamity scepter. Just as Lin Moyu was about to throw, the soul gem on the calamity scepter suddenly burst with light. The light from the soul gem fell on the elemental gem. After so many years of inactivity, the elemental gem finally moved. Seeing this, Lin Moyu also paused his action. He was curious about what the elemental gem could do. The elemental gem glowed brightly, illuminating the surroundings. Suddenly, a large number of ice and fire Tao stones collectively shook. Streams of pure ice and fire Tao power flowed out from the Tao stones, converging towards the elemental gem. The pure Tao power transformed into giant ice dragons and fire dragons, rushing towards the calamity scepter. The ice and fire dragons danced and swirled around Lin Moyu, then fell onto him, turning him into an ice and fire giant. Lin Moyu finally understood what the elemental gem had done. It could command the power of the ice and fire Tao. Could it be that the elemental gem can command various elemental powers? But at this moment, there was no time to ponder further. Lin Moyu, transformed into an ice and fire giant, had a sudden inspiration and charged towards the outer god again. As he charged, the ice and fire dragons went ahead, bombarding the outer god. The outer god was engulfed in ice and fire, the immense ice and fire power raging over its body, causing it to scream incessantly. Lin Moyu discovered that after being commanded by the elemental gem, the ice and fire Tao became even more intense. Carrying the ice and fire power, Lin Moyu easily broke through the 100-meter limit of the protective divine light and charged through without any obstruction. The power of the ice and fire Tao completely destroyed the outer god's protective divine light. It felt as if a powerful ice and fire Tao expert was clearing the path for Lin Moyu, breaking through all obstacles. In the blink of an eye, Lin Moyu was less than 20 meters from the outer god. At this point, complex and bizarre symbols lit up on the outer god's body again. An invisible force enveloped Lin Moyu, trying to drag him into the soul world. But this time was different. The ice and fire Tao power erupted, completely incinerating the outer god's power. The outer god failed. Lin Moyu charged forward as if unopposed, reaching right in front of the outer god. The calamity scepter, imbued with ice and fire power, smashed down on its head. Chapter 2978, 2978. Chapter 2978, A Father's Feelings, Merging New Techniques. As the calamity scepter fell, Lin Moyu saw the change in the outer god's eyes. In its eyes appeared something called fear. The previous killing intent and anger had subsided, with fear taking the lead. So it can also be afraid. No living being can escape fear. The longer one lives, the more afraid of death they become. Unfortunately, your fear is useless. We are mortal enemies, it's either you die or I perish. These thoughts flashed through Lin Moyu's mind as the calamity scepter landed on the outer god's head. In an instant, the power of the ice and fire Tao surged to the sky. The outer god's head was smashed to pieces before the calamity scepter. The calamity scepter remained invincible. Even this outer god with 2 pairs of wings couldn't withstand it. Amidst the swirling ice and fire, Lin Moyu struck again and again until the outer god was completely pulverized. Its soul was absorbed by the soul gem, which then divided the absorbed soul equally among itself, the elemental gem, and the balance gem. The outer god's physical body completely dissipated, leaving not even dust behind. This was true destruction of both body and Tao, even more thorough than being scattered to ashes, not even ash remained. The elemental gem gradually dimmed, returning to its previously unremarkable appearance. The ice and fire disappeared, but the formation composed of ice and fire Tao stones still existed, though it had lost its target. Lin Moyu let out a long breath, finally resolved. By now, 8 minutes of the Tao immortality pill's effect had passed. In 2 more minutes, the pill's effect would wear off. 2 minutes later, Lin Moyu's body and soul simultaneously collapsed. Accompanied by a purple light, Lin Moyu completed his rebirth. Just as he recovered, the sound of a bell rang in his ears. The bell seemed to come from an infinitely distant place, carrying supreme majesty. The moment he heard the bell, Lin Moyu's mind instantly calmed. The Tao reward had descended. Lin Moyu's consciousness instinctively sank into his soul world. With the help of the Tao reward, he naturally wanted to condense Tao patterns. This time, the Tao reward came with unprecedented ferocity, combining the rewards from both the 9-tailed scorpion rat and the outer god. In the Tao reward, 6 Taos appeared: undying, 1,000 stars, time, space, power, and fate. The Taos roared, showering powerful force that transformed into countless insights, pouring into Lin Moyu's mind. Lin Moyu's understanding of each Tao rapidly deepened. The 37th Tao pattern was condensed in just 10 minutes. If he had to condense it himself, this Tao pattern would have taken at least 200 years. Comparing 200 years to 10 minutes, the efficiency increase was truly astonishing. Then came the 38th Tao pattern, the 39th Tao pattern. One by one, Tao patterns were continuously condensed with the help of the Tao reward. Lin Moyu's foundation was incredibly deep, and his requirement for the number of Tao patterns was extremely high. If it were someone else, this wave of Tao reward could directly raise their realm by several levels. But for Lin Moyu, it was difficult to even raise one realm. Tao patterns were condensed one after another, their number steadily increasing. Each additional Tao pattern was equivalent to saving Lin Moyu hundreds of years of time. In Lin Moyu's eyes, outer gods and divine beasts had become the best cultivation materials. After experiencing such an astonishing cultivation speed, he couldn't possibly return to slow, gradual cultivation. For him, the best cultivation method was to hunt outer gods and then cultivate using the Tao rewards. Only in this way could he reach higher realms in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, at the current rate of condensing Tao patterns, it would take at least 3,000 to 4,000 years to raise one realm. Of course, for a Tao Venerable, raising one realm in 3,000 to 4,000 years wasn't too bad. After all, a Tao Venerable under 10,000 years old could be called a genius. But that was for others. Lin Moyu couldn't accept it. He had been cultivating for less than 3,000 years so far. Lin Moyu also understood why those geniuses of the past eventually gave up on the path of perfection. It was because condensing Tao patterns was too slow. If he had to cultivate step by step, perhaps he too wouldn't be able to persist. This required an incredibly strong Tao heart, an unwavering dedication to the Tao. This Tao reward lasted for half a day. After half a day, Lin Moyu successfully condensed the 52nd Tao pattern. He was just 2 patterns away from the perfect 54 Tao patterns. The Tao reward was nearing its end, but there was still a little left. Lin Moyu tried to condense the 55th Tao pattern. Suddenly, infinite fusion flashed with light, flying before Lin Moyu and transmitting a thought: Tao, I want. Lin Moyu understood immediately and didn't hesitate at all: take it. Infinite fusion burst with light, replacing Lin Moyu in receiving the remaining Tao reward. During this time, Infinite Fusion had been digesting spiritual materials, showing no movement. Now that it suddenly moved, it meant the spiritual materials had been fully digested. Lin Moyu sensed Infinite Fusion and found it had become much stronger than before. Lin Moyu thought to himself, it has indeed become stronger, but it's not perfect yet. Has it not digested thoroughly enough? It seems it wants to use the Tao reward to help itself fully digest the power of the spiritual materials. The little one is growing. It's much stronger than when it first appeared. Watching Infinite Fusion grow stronger, Lin Moyu had the illusion of an old father watching his child grow up, feeling an inexplicable warmth in his heart. A moment later, Infinite Fusion absorbed the last of the Tao reward. Its light grew stronger and stronger as the power of the spiritual materials was thoroughly digested and absorbed, completing the fusion. In Infinite Fusion's light, a Tao faintly appeared. This Tao was very peculiar, neither illusory nor real. Lin Moyu had never seen it before and couldn't identify it. He couldn't even be sure if it was a Tao at all. But he was certain that Infinite Fusion's power had greatly increased, much stronger than before. Years of absorption and digestion hadn't been in vain. Infinite Fusion flew around Lin Moyu twice, like a happy child, then flew towards the technique stars. Lin Moyu knew it was going to merge with the technique stars. Lin Moyu didn't stop it. From past experience, the technique stars merged by Infinite Fusion only benefited him, with no drawbacks. So Lin Moyu had extreme trust in Infinite Fusion. Infinite Fusion first flew to the time-cursed technique star, spewing a mist onto it. The mist transformed into a large hand, dragging the technique star away. Then it flew to the Undead Wings technique star, similarly spewing mist and dragging it over. Afterwards, Infinite Fusion turned into a large pot, containing both technique stars. Lin Moyu had seen this scene many times. Merging Undead Wings and Time Curse, I wonder what kind of technique it will become. Lin Moyu felt some anticipation. The merged technique would surely be better than before. These two techniques might undergo a complete transformation, becoming much more powerful. Sounds like frying food came from the pot, rumbling continuously. Chapter 2979, 2979. Chapter 2979, a Tao-destroying level technique. Universal career change. Necromancer. I am the calamity by Slow Pig. The entire process lasted about an hour, then the pot lid opened, and a brand new technique star flew out. The new technique star emitted a powerful aura, and there was even a Tao pattern glowing on it. Just seeing this Tao pattern, Lin Moyu knew this technique star was extremely powerful, and the merged technique was also extremely powerful. Before Lin Moyu could examine it, Infinite Fusion moved again. This time, it flew to the passive technique stars, status immunity, physical resistance, and elemental resistance, simultaneously spewing mist to envelop them, then dragging them all into the large pot. The sound of frying food rang out again. Lin Moyu couldn't help but laugh. If this fusion continued, his techniques would probably become fewer and fewer. Fewer techniques wasn't necessarily a bad thing, it could indirectly save Tao patterns for him. Otherwise, each technique star would require at least 2 Tao patterns. Although he had many Tao patterns, only after using them did he realize they weren't enough. Having many techniques also had its troubles. While Infinite Fusion was merging techniques again, Lin Moyu examined the newly merged technique star. Wings of Time Curse origin level, a perfect fusion of the Time Tao and Curse Tao. When the Wings of Time unfold, they can distort time, reaching infinite speed. At their strongest, they can enter the river of time, traversing through time. The Curse Wings can cast curses. Wherever they pass, time becomes chaotic and curses spread. At their strongest, they can affect the Tao. When fused with the Time Wings, they can distort the Tao's time, causing the Tao to collapse. Looking at this technique, Lin Moyu was stunned. He didn't know whether he was shocked or terrified. For a moment, he couldn't find suitable words to describe his emotions. After the fusion, both the core and effect of the technique had undergone qualitative changes. The Wings of Time Curse could be divided into 2 parts. One part was the Time Wings, which had 2 main functions. The first was to increase his speed. By distorting time, while external time remained unchanged, his personal time would speed up. This way, while only a second passed in the outside world, several seconds would have passed for him. In effect, this was equivalent to increasing his speed several times over. Based on the Time Tao, at their strongest, the Time Wings could enter and traverse the River of Time. The significance of traversing the River of Time was extraordinary. It wasn't just about changing the flow of time, but about traveling through the past and future via the River of Time. The River of Time recorded everything that had happened from ancient times to the present. If he could traverse the River of Time, he could go to ancient times and see events that occurred long ago. This was far more powerful than time reversal. Time reversal only sought projections from the River of Time, but the Time Wings could allow him to actually see the past from within the River of Time. It might even be possible to truly visit the past. In the past, ancient powerhouses had been summoned to the present through the River of Time. Besides returning to the past, he could also go to the future and seek future traces. Although the future was always changing, being able to glimpse future changes was incredibly extraordinary. Lin Moyu had a thought that even those who had mastered the Time Tao to the extreme and entered the Tao realm might only have abilities like this. He also mastered the Time Tao, so if he entered the Tao realm in the future, he might also possess the ability to traverse past and future. However, the Time Wings pointed directly to the essence of time, giving him this ability in advance. The second part of the Wings of Time curse was the Curse Wings. The Curse Wings came from the Curse Tao. Once unfolded, they could shower curses upon the world. There were countless curses, and Lin Moyu could choose which curse to cast according to his will. Through the Curse Wings, although Lin Moyu hadn't mastered the Curse Tao, he could use it. This gave him an additional means of combat without needing to pay extra cultivation costs, which was extremely advantageous. Most importantly, once the Wings of Time curse were fully activated, the powers of the Time Tao and Curse Tao would merge. At that time, with the Curse Tao exerting full power, it could curse other Taos. Combined with the power of the Time Tao, it could distort the time of other Taos. This way, it could cause Taos to collapse. Lin Moyu realized that his Wings of Time curse was a Tao-destroying level technique. A technique that could destroy Taos. Who would believe it if told? Even Lin Moyu, its owner, couldn't help but feel a chill. It was not just frightening, it was terrifying. To think it merged into such an overpowered technique. Lin Moyu muttered, his voice carrying a hint of excitement. With a thought, the Wings of Time curse unfolded. A pair of huge wings appeared behind him. Whoosh! The wings spread out, over 10 meters wide. If Lin Moyu's body were larger, the wings would grow accordingly, with no upper limit. The wings themselves were pitch black, causing fear in anyone who looked at them. On the wings, streams of light intertwined, carrying dreamlike colors, beautiful enough to captivate hearts. These streams of light were the Time Wings. The pitch black wings were the Curse Wings. Lin Moyu willed it, and the Curse Wings retracted, leaving only the Time Wings. The wings became even more dreamlike, with the intertwining light streams forming wings that were breathtakingly beautiful. Compared to the outer god's wings, his Time Wings were incomparably more beautiful. Let's test the effect. The Time Wings fluttered lightly, and Lin Moyu instantly vanished. The speed was astonishingly fast, far surpassing the previous undead wings. It wasn't that the base speed had increased, but because the Time Wings distorted time. While 1 second passed in the outside world, 5 seconds had passed for Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu's speed had increased fivefold out of nowhere. How could it not be fast? But this wasn't the limit. If Lin Moyu fully activated them, time would be distorted even more severely, and the speed could be even faster. After several attempts, Lin Moyu was very satisfied with the effect of the Time Wings. Then he tried the Curse Wings. When the Curse Wings vibrated, they could cast curses on targets, but the specific effect depended on his own realm. The higher Lin Moyu's realm, the more powerful the curse effect. At his current realm, using the Curse Wings was enough to severely injure cultivators of the same realm. Finally, Lin Moyu tried to fully activate the Wings of Time curse. In an instant, curses filled the sky wherever he passed. As he had thought, this was a Tao-destroying level skill. Even if not used to destroy Taos, it was terrifyingly powerful for destroying worlds. If he fully activated the Wings of Time curse and cast a death curse while flying a circle around the origin continent, everywhere he passed, basically no being weaker than him would survive. After all, it was a terrifying technique that could even collapse Taos. Destroying a world wasn't actually difficult. This kind of ability was hard to possess even for those at the 7th level of Tao Venerable, yet he now had it. Lin Moyu felt he was becoming increasingly overpowered. Retracting the Wings of Time curse, Lin Moyu looked towards infinite fusion. The pot was still, cooking, but it was nearing the end. I wonder what kind of technique it will merge into this time. Chapter 2980, 2980. Chapter 2980, If I Could Obtain Their Corpses. Universal Career Change. Necromancer. I am the calamity by Slow Pig. Clang, clang, the sound of frying continued incessantly. The fusion of 3 technique stars took a bit longer. After quite a while, the sound gradually ceased. Lin Moyu knew the technique fusion was about to end. He was somewhat excited to see what form these 3 passive techniques would merge into. With anticipation in his eyes, he muttered to himself, if I remember correctly, this is the first time fusing passive techniques. Previous technique fusions had occurred many times, but passive techniques were being fused for the first time. Based on past fusions, the merged technique would not only retain its original abilities but also produce new ones. The new abilities produced were often very powerful. Finally, as Lin Moyu anticipated, the pot lid opened, and a brand new technique star slowly floated out. On the star, a Dao pattern glowed brightly, catching the eye. The presence of a Dao pattern meant the power of the technique would reach a new level. Lin Moyu eagerly examined the information of the technique star. Immunity origin level. The master and summoned beings are immune to all curses and other negative statuses, immune to all damage from attacks of the same realm or lower, and greatly reduce all damage from higher realms. The information of the merged technique became very simple. The technique's name was just 2 words, immunity. It retained the effect of the previous status immunity, ignoring all negative statuses, including curses. Of course, Lin Moyu knew this immunity had its limits. If a Dao realm expert who cultivated the cursed Dao were to curse him now, he wouldn't be able to immunize against it. This was true for any technique. One couldn't just look at the surface effect but had to consider the real effect. But if the difference wasn't too great and didn't exceed the technique's limit, it could indeed achieve immunity. It had always been like this. Countless experiences had taught Lin Moyu that this was how it worked. The physical resistance and elemental resistance techniques merged into the latter part of the new technique. This effect directly made Lin Moyu invincible within the same realm. Although he was already invincible in the same realm before, it was even more so now. All damage within the same realm was immunized. Even if he stood still and let others attack, it would be useless. In more extreme cases, even if he was immobilized during cultivation, cultivators of the same realm couldn't cause him any harm. For experts above his realm, the damage they could inflict would also be greatly reduced, though Lin Moyu wasn't sure by how much. He estimated it would depend on the strength of the technique star. For example, how many Dao patterns he used to enhance it. So the degree of reduction didn't have a specific number. The immunity technique star returned to its position and then burst with light. The undying Dao naturally appeared, showering vast amounts of death force into the technique star. After absorbing a large amount of death force, the technique star emanated a peculiar power, like an invisible armor covering Lin Moyu's entire body. Lin Moyu suddenly understood that it was using death force to weaken others' attacks. Death force could corrode everything, including others' attacks. However, he hadn't utilized this ability of death force before, or rather, hadn't utilized it enough. To maximize the use of death force, he needed to use the undying Dao true body. But in battle, the undying Dao true body was rarely used. For the undying Dao, he mostly used life force for healing injuries. But now, the immunity technique star helped him realize this ability. It was equivalent to having the undying Dao true body constantly active, enjoying its effects. Although not as dazzling as the Wings of Time curse, the immunity technique gave Lin Moyu a sense of unassuming excellence, seemingly ordinary but extraordinary. Lin Moyu realized that as his primary Dao, the undying Dao had many more wonders that needed to be researched and developed. Previously, he had overlooked many things. With 6 Daos, there was too much to study. Lin Moyu felt he couldn't keep up. It seems I'll need to increase my multitasking ability even more in the future. All 6 Daos need to be thoroughly researched. With the technique fusion complete, infinite fusion circled Lin Moyu twice before returning to its position. It still stood high above, overlooking all technique stars. Even the 2 origin techniques were beneath it. Lin Moyu wasn't sure what level of existence infinite fusion was. But that wasn't important. What mattered was that it was very useful and obedient. In stark contrast was the calamity scepter, which, although useful, was very disobedient. As his consciousness returned, Lin Moyu saw the secret realm space again. The grand formation composed of ice and fire Dao stones still existed, but it had lost its target. It only maintained the formation without exerting any function, almost in a semi-dormant state. Unless an outer god or divine beast appeared now, it wouldn't lock onto a target and reactivate. The original design of this formation was to target outer gods. The powerful ice and fire Dao working together could kill ordinary outer gods. Even that powerful outer god with 2 pairs of wings could be trapped there immobile. Even weaker divine beasts wouldn't dare to come out, as they would be killed if they did. Lin Moyu examined this formation. He had been in the secret realm for over 40 days now. According to the rules, he had about 50 more days before he would leave and never be able to enter again. He needed to thoroughly research this formation and obtain the ice and fire Dao stones in the remaining 50-some days. The ice and fire Dao stones were very powerful and not easily obtainable. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed slightly as Lin Moyu saw a corpse in the corner of the formation. He's out too. This corpse was engulfed in flames, Dao flames that could burn on the corpse. However, the corpse wasn't being burned. It was the true source of the flames. It could be said that the ice and fire Dao stones in this formation were all related to him. Previously, he was in the outer god's soul world. Now that the outer god was dead, he had come out. Since he's out, the other one should be out too. Lin Moyu immediately searched the formation and finally found another corpse in another corner. That corpse was enveloped in ice, like a large ice block, motionless. It looked harmless, but Lin Moyu knew that anyone who dared to approach would definitely be frozen solid. If I could obtain their corpses. Lin Moyu suddenly had an unrealistic thought. These two were Dao realm powerhouses, even stronger than the Golden Thunder he had encountered before. If he could obtain their corpses for corpse explosion, even if the leader of the 100 Herbs Alliance personally came after him, Lin Moyu would be confident in killing him. But this was just a thought. These 2 corpses. Just as he was thinking, the 2 corpses suddenly burst with powerful auras. Flames soared to the sky, and ice froze for thousands of miles. The entire formation was instantly activated. At this moment, the 2 Dao realm corpses became the formation's eyes.